show. Welcome back to another week of Xbox Infinite. It's been a very interesting week, and there's some interesting discourse going on online, but I've ignored most of it because I've been playing Starfield. That's not true. I've been on Twitter a lot. Oh, what can I say? We got a fantastic guest for you this week, guys. Lord Cognito, man. Welcome to the show. How you doing, man? What have you been up to? What have you been playing? How's things going for you?
Well, feeling better. That's the first thing. Obviously, most of the realm already know. I went through a lot, recently as far as like being hospitalized about a month ago, and now just kind of like getting my bearings back and, feeling like my normal self again. Still pacing myself, taking it slow, but I'm glad I'm back and I'm in the realm of the Infinite, Xbox Infinite. Long overdue. I know me and you've been talking for a while, and I'm just glad to finally be able to make it and talk games. And it was cool meeting you, man. We got a chance to chop it up at Summer Games Fest. I thought that was super dope, and get a chance to meet your panel and have some fun. And I love the topic, so thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you here. And yeah, look, it's good to see you doing better. I don't believe you for a second when you said you're taking it slow, but it's just not in your nature, I don't think, man. You're always up to something. I love it. Infinite, welcome back. How's your week? How was your show, man? Did we go the cursory 3 hours, or did we cut it down to 2?
I cut it to 2.5. Close enough. But yeah, it was really good. I had a good discussion. Had Agent Deli, who was a developer who worked with both Ubisoft and Microsoft at a point on there to discuss the situation about Unity, as well as Frankly Gaming, one of Daniel's friends who was also a software engineer. So a really good discussion about things. Really good week too overall. Just been enjoying me a bunch of Starfield. I am 204 hours in to the game now. So and loving it. Level 55. So I haven't even been doing the main missions. Like I've just been doing everything else, but just loving it. And yeah, happy to be here with you guys tonight. Happy to have Lord Cognito with us. Welcome back, brother. And happy that you're doing well too.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I'm getting a chance to play games too, rocking Starfield as well, and
absolutely.
Forza Motorsport has been my 2 right now.
How far have you gotten into Starfield, by the way? How many hours would you say?
Man, oh my God, at least 100. The thing with it is that I'm trying to. I'm close to. I could New Game Plus whenever I want, but there's still a couple of things I wanted to do before I do that. And I'm loving this game. There's so many things I found out and so many emergent events that I tell other people about, and they're like, "Yo, I've never experienced that," and they'll tell me stuff that I've never experienced with all the hours I have. So it's like that game is just. It's so massive. There's so much to it. I just cannot stop playing it.
Yeah, with you on that one.
Yeah, it's look, there's a lot of talk about whether it's a game of the generation or it's not, or it got a 7. I think Metacritic doesn't. Don't think Metacritic will judge whether it's a game of the generation. Pete, welcome back. How's your week? What have you been up to? I haven't seen much of you this week, man, because I've been at work and you keep different hours. I don't think you haven't played much this week, have you? I haven't been able to. Been busy man.
Yeah, not that much. Unfortunately, I've been a little bit busy. I've been playing as much as I possibly can. I'm nowhere near Umbra's level, and I'm level 22. I'm not sure how many hours I'm in, but I am taking my time with the game. I absolutely love it. Game of the generation, I don't know. We are very, very early into the generation, so I'm not going to call it yet, but it is a fantastic game. There's just so much to do. I'm role-playing in a game. I think I said that last week. I'm trying to be a pirate at the moment, trying to take over some ships, just unlock targeting, so take out their engines and board them. Like you suggested, Risk, a lot of fun doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
More talk about this week as well. Had the PlayStation Showcase, which by the thumbnail was very mid, so looking forward to talking about that. Welcome, Lord Cognito. Umbra is trying to turn the fix into the Iron Lords, by the way. He's just creeping up there every week, getting longer and longer. But I'm glad you can join us, mate.
I got a few hours to add to that. Yeah, tack on a few more hours. You guys level. I don't know.
Pushing that 4 mark, pushing the 6
Trying to
mark.
get to that 4 or 5 hour mark.
Yeah.
All right.
Blue, how you doing? How's your week been? I haven't seen you at all because I've been on work time, which is a totally different time to your time zone. But what have you been doing? What have you been up to? How's Starfield going? How many hours you in? What are you thinking about this game?
Hello, good evening, chat, and hello and very big welcome to Cog for coming through. We appreciate it. And I am looking forward to seeing what video game playlist is on your next trip to the gym when you're up and moving around.
Yeah, I got stuff.
See what Beefy Cog is listening to, right?
Yeah, we got stuff cooking. I got some soundtracks coming up that y'all gonna like.
Now I'm about 82, 85 hours into Starfield, something like that. I've been playing that. Work's been pretty tough this week, but doing that, and of course doing my dailies in Fallout 76, and I've recently picked up Vampire Survivors because I got late into that, and I finished my first 30-minute run. I beat that one, and it just got me craving more. So, and it's like the perfect like brainless game to just kind of zone out when you have 15, 30 minutes, and it's been a lot of fun. And my ally, I have Dave the Diver and Disco Elysium that I've been kind of popping back and forth. I know, I miss Disco Elysium, and I have friends that just, couldn't say enough about it. So I'm many hours into that too, but it's a very complex game.
Yeah,
it is.
I
like it a lot.
You're in the world of Revachol and learning about
yes
the person who you are.
Right. Which can go a lot of different ways.
That is a very
and it's
game.
funny. I've been learning French on Duolingo. And so there's a lot of heavy French influence in the language and some of the names and things like that in the game. So I kind of found that fun. Yeah, oui.
Yeah. Lots of salt and pepper.
We're not making pig sounds all night, all right?
Yes. Well, escargot to you too.
Look, there has been a lot of salt and pepper in the community after this PlayStation showcase, and look, I have to sort of. I want to preface this with there's some stuff going on with this whole map thing, and I wanted to talk about that real quickly. And then Cog, I heard you mention that you're playing a bit of Forza Motorsport, so I want to get to that too. But with this PlayStation showcase, the Spiderman showing, look, to me, I really enjoyed that. I think that was, I think it's looking good. I think the game's looking good. Had a chance to check out Skill Up's first impressions. He says it's basically more Spider-Man with, a little bit added to it, some more mechanics, that sort of stuff. There's some people who have been in the Defense Force, and some guys that are friends of mine, in the Defense Force of this is a new map. It's just not. It's not a new map, right? You've got some additions to the old map. But what I wanted to say was there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with reusing. It's New York, right? And a lot of people are like, what do you want them to do? It's New York. Nothing wrong with that. Like they're going to reuse New York. They've added some new stuff to it. I think it's like a good thing for a sequel. I mean, I don't understand why people sort of gravitated towards reusing assets is a bad thing. I mean, I don't know what they want from a sequel. Really sort of a strange thing. I really liked Helldivers. I thought that was cool as well, but there's a lot to get into. So Cog, you obviously got a chance to check out the PlayStation Showcase. I wanted to get your overall thoughts. What did you think of it? Did you think it was a little underwhelming? Did you think it was sort of hitting the mark for what they promised? I mean, they didn't overpromise, I don't think.
Right.
But did they underdeliver?
That's a good question. I think they set proper expectation as far as was it third party and some indie stuff that we knew was going to be there. But I'll be honest with you, when it started off, it was really slow for me, and I didn't really connect with that baby steps, and I didn't connect with a few games. And I think what is it? Ghost Runner 2. I liked what I saw from there. Obviously they're gonna still show some PSVR 2 support, which I understand, but overall, when Foam Stars comes up and a couple of games that I'm like, okay, I kind of know about, it's not until the end of it. And this is just because, again, I know Spider-Man is this year, and they may be a little bit guilty of a little bit of overexposure of Spider-Man because we've seen it so many times. But even when I see it, I'm still excited. Obviously, like you said, there's an extension to the map. We got Queens, we got another borough. So as a New Yorker, that's going to resonate. I'm going to have a bias towards it. And I'm a big MCU guy, so I like what I see from that. That's going to be a big title for the year. But for me, the one that kind of stole the show, that kind of rose up the score to like a 7 for me, is I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. And to see what they were showing as far as like the Rebirth, remake, that kind of stuff, I thought it looked really cool. If you're a fan of that series, you got to see finally, okay, where is it going? I know they are kind of retelling it in a way, spoiler if that's a light spoiler if you haven't played the initial remake, but I thought it was strong. I thought it was very strong. I really like what I saw. I know the base is going to like that, but if I have to be objective, those are 2 games we knew about already, right? Mm-hmm. And this is a base coming off, their PlayStation showcase was very disappointing in the direction. They were disappointed in the direction as far as a lot of live service, a lot of games that we still don't know what's the status or release date, factions and things of that nature. There's still a lot of question marks. Obviously, behind the scenes, we, the hardcore, know that, hey, Bungie kind of said, hey, that's not up to snuff, and you may need to kind of relook at it as from a design standpoint as far as live service, because that's what Bungie does now that they've been over there. So I come back at them right now saying, look, it was solid, but for the expectation of a Sony show from what we're used to, it is not to that expectation yet. And I think some people are legitimately concerned. And, I've had this conversation with King. He's like, the sky's falling. He's already like, I'm telling you, look at the signs, kind of. And I can't really refute him because I do know Sony is, that's one thing they're good at, is the showcase, the theatrics, and getting their base revved up, and a lot of fan service. And right now it does feel like they may be in transition, and some things are still in flux as far as release date and when we're going to hear about it. So that was my feeling of it.
Yeah, right. It's a bad time to have that flux situation happening when you've got Starfield releasing, Forza's on the horizon. Forza's on the horizon. You've got Hellblade probably started next year. We don't really know what's going on. I would agree with King's assessment. I think that there's some. If there's not, there should be some serious scrambling for third-party exclusives. If I was Sony right now, you need to cover those gaps, and I think there's going to be a lot of them from the looks of things. Blue, you had a comment about the opening of the show. I'm keen to hear what you thought.
I did. It's going to be opposite of what Cog said, actually. So they started the show with baby steps, and it just cracked me up because we all know Sony is the walking simulator console, right? And it's literally a walking simulator as the first game that's on. And it cracked me up. But also, it's not a dig either, because that game looked fun to me. I was like, this is goofy, and I want to play it. Has anybody here ever played Manual Samuel?
No.
Nah.
Never Manual Samuel. I know about it.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. And if you get somebody else to play with you, like couch co-op, it is the funniest game. And it reminded me of that a lot. It's way more cartoony, but it's the exact same thing. Like, you're basically a living corpse, and you have to animate the body. You have to move the arms. You have to move the feet. You have to like brush your teeth with weird animation things. So baby steps kind of look like that, right? Like, clearly there's some issues with how the walking stuff moves, but it looked fun. I think that looked fun. That was more for me. I don't care for Final Fantasy at all. I don't care for Spiderman at all. So for me, that's where I don't care for Foam Stars either. So but I bought
Stars.
Well, it's got an audience somewhere, right? It does. I bought the PSVR 2 and I still haven't unboxed it because there's been nothing for me to put the motivation and effort into doing it. Now, there actually was a Star Wars game, I think, that had come out, but I was like, it was a little pricey for VR. I am a huge Resident Evil fan. So I am excited to play 4 on the PSVR 2 if I decide to go that route. But I know 7 is on there, but literally I would have a heart attack playing that one because 7 scares the crap out of me in regular. Like, I couldn't play that on there. But I think, they know the PSVR 2 is in trouble, right? It's no surprise, it's no secret. So it's good that they're at least showing that it's not dead yet. It's not even a year old, right? It's not dead yet. And they are working on things to bring to it, but not putting too much time to it because it's very niche, right? So I don't think it was a good showcase, but I don't think it was as bad as the last one. So I guess that's kind of my little take on that.
Wait,
but there was some stuff for everybody.
You think it was? You don't think it was as bad as the last one?
No.
Why?
I don't. Zero things in the last one interested me. like in this one, Helldivers, I was like, it's okay. You know, I feel nothing positive or negative. Ghost Runner 2 looked good, but you know, the pacing I felt was pretty good in this one. The last one I felt was really uncomfortable and just had really bad timing. And plus, I'm just not a Final Fantasy person, and that's no disrespect to anybody else. It's fantastic that they're getting all of these really good games, but they take up a large chunk of time because they do have a big audience. Yeah. But that's not me, right?
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, JRPGs and Final Fantasy's not me either. I guess I'm a real dude bro, I guess, when it comes to less and less as I get older. But you know, less and less as I get older. But Final Fantasy since 7 on the PlayStation 1. I haven't really picked them up. Umbra, how were you feeling about this showcase? Was there anything? I mean, personally, I'm interested in Helldivers. That looked pretty good to me. I found it weird that it's a PlayStation exclusive with PC and it's a co-op. That's not traditionally what you'd see from PlayStation, but we are seeing a shift in their modus operandi. So, what'd you think?
We are. You know, Helldivers actually looked pretty good to me too. I think the shooting mechanics are a little off. That it didn't seem to register at times the way they were shooting, but I think it looked pretty fun. It reminded me, outside of the obvious Starship Trooper aesthetic, it kind of gave me Star Wars vibes a little bit, like Battlefront or something like that. Did anybody else see that? It felt like that to them? I don't know. Mm-hmm. To me, that's what it felt like. Baby Steps was hilarious to me when I saw it too, Holly. I agree. But not in a way of, I want to play this. It was more in a way of, what is this? But I'm sure it actually is fun. You know what I mean? I'm sure it might be fun, though. I will give it that. And the first thing I thought of was, this is a Riskit simulator right here. Whoa. The guy's Australian and he's walking around and he's falling around on his face and his ass. I'm like, this is now let me stop.
Is me drunk? Is it me like
No, it looks funny. It looks fun though. I won't lie. It was just, I think some people are being a little more harsh on it than they need to be, but it was kind of funny. I think it was only made like by 3 people, so that's you know, it's one of those indie things like that, but that's pretty cool. Roblox finally coming to PlayStation was interesting. I don't give a damn about Roblox, but it's funny to see it coming over finally. I don't know what took them so long. VR, I don't care about VR so much. I almost said RV. That's how little I care about VR. So anything with that, I tuned out. When it's Ghostbusters, the VR mode for Resident Evil. None of that did anything for me.
But I wanted let me just go back and forth with this on you for a little bit. But so VR to me, I don't. A lot of Xbox guys are real sort of similar on the whole, like, don't like VR, and I'm sure I know you're genuine, but I'm sure a lot of them aren't completely genuine when they say it. So to me, at the moment, there's nothing for VR, but there was some stuff in that showcase that may start to not tipping the balance yet, but may start to tip me towards. Maybe VR is something I want to check out. Like, you don't think that there's going to be a game that's just going to tip that balance for you? Because that's got to be the future, right?
I don't think it's the future, but I think, listen, for me, I told you all, for me to get into something like VR, we're going to have to get into that Ready Player One type level. I'm going to have to be into that thing crazy. Like, I'm going to have to be plugged in like the Matrix. I can't. Otherwise, I would feel like a moron, like having that thing on my head, flinging around and possibly hitting my OLED. I'm I paid too much for this.
You want to be laying down in a bowl of jelly with some tubes and
pretty much, yeah, pretty much. I want to get all up in there. So yeah. No, but like it'd have to be something that's much more. advanced for me to care about it. Like, I think they've come a long way. I appreciate that all, and I do like the technology that they've gotten to the level of it at least, but it's just not for me personally. I'm a traditional style gamer. I want the controller in my hand to do what I want, and it's sometimes why JRPGs, or at least turn-based RPGs, kind of rub me the wrong way, because I don't like where I have to stand there and just get hit. Like, what's this, the slapping competition rather? Like, no, I want to be able to move freely, and like looking at a game like Hi-Fi Rush, you see what I mean? That's the type of styling I like, where I get to freely do what I want action-wise, which is why I love that so much. But yeah, Ghost Runner 2, a lot of these things, were just multi-plat, so it didn't really wow me. But I do agree with Holly 100%, where she says it came off better than their previous show, and I think that's for a few reasons. One being the pacing was much better. If their previous show was paced like this, I think it would have come off better. Two, they didn't have some live action movie trailer in it like the first one did, which was just stupid.
You wasn't feeling
that. Oh no, I wasn't feeling that one. Yeah, that tuned me out more. And then it didn't land with me. But like, and then also too, it was the case that it had been 2 years before they had a show like that. So it was a long time coming, and then that's what PlayStation fans got. And so I know they weren't feeling it, So I think it was a mixture of those two things that really did it. And I think the pacing for this was just much better. It was like 22 minutes and 40 seconds long. Like, it wasn't that bad. It's pretty good. And I'll say too, like, Spider-Man 2 looks really, really good. I was actually really impressed with Spider-Man 2, but I was always going to get Spider-Man 2. So there's nothing, like, it's not like, oh yeah, you sold me now. Like, I was always going to get Spider-Man 2. He's my favorite comic character of all time. He's, I grew up reading this character. So I think they did a really good job with that. I am loving the fast travel feature and all that. It looks pretty good. Some are overhyping it, making it, like, oh my God, look at the SSD, the magical SSD. Is like, no, listen, there are other games that do that. Maybe not as aesthetically pleasing as is doing it, but other games do that.
I don't know, it's pretty magical.
Well, they sprinkled a little bit of that little magic dust on it. But Final Fantasy Rebirth actually looked really damn good too. Actually, I'll say, visually, it's really nice. It looks like something I can see a lot of PlayStation fans really diving into. Me, I wouldn't do it. I think it's rare, by the way, because it's only a 3-month exclusive for that. So I think Square is finally coming to their senses. I want to see how that plays out and how that's going to work with them coming to other platforms, be it just PC or if they come to Xbox as well. As well as bringing, Final Fantasy VII remake as well. I want to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy. So Square Enix, I think that's probably the right moves, and the moves that they should have made all the way through the beginning of this generation, maybe some of the last generation, where they, sure, make your deals with Sony, get that extra bag at the beginning of your release, and then and then release on other platforms. Have a 3-month exclusive, have a 6-month exclusive. I don't think anyone's going to be particularly mad at that. We know PlayStation and Square have had a good relationship. So yeah, you make an interesting point. It's interesting to see where they're going to go and how they're going to roll with it. I don't think it's a terrible thing. I mean, they're almost second party at this point, to my mind. But them cutting out a portion of the community being Xbox, I think it has been a mistake for them, and I think they're starting to see the error of their ways. And with that new CEO, could be interesting. Could be interesting. We'll see where he goes. Plus, they shed a bit of cash recently, but we'll definitely get to that. Jedi, I was interested as someone who doesn't. I always ask you every time we have a PlayStation showcase, because there's gonna be a game, and I don't know if it's dropped yet, but there's gonna be one game that tips the balance for you, and you go get that PS5. Did you see that at the showcase?
No, I didn't. I haven't actually seen that game. It's Demon Souls. I mean, that is my jam. It's the reason I got a PlayStation 4 was because of Bloodborne. So now I'm just waiting for a little bit more. I was hoping the price was going to go down, but the crazy thing is the first generation where the price went up, which is just ridiculous.
The price is wrong, bitch. Sorry. Yep.
Honestly, there's so much coming out on Xbox, and it's where all my friends play that I don't know, bro. I think I'm just going to be an Xbot this generation. But there might be something that pushes me towards it, so I don't want to, completely rule it out. But yeah, look, the show terms of, what I thought of it. I think the show was better simply because of the marketing. I think people were expecting a Sony showcase last time, which is why it fell so flat. It just wasn't a Sony show. But the marketing for this show specifically mentioned that it was just going to be third party and indies. And I think if you look at it going into it thinking that, then they overperformed. I mean, they showed Spiderman 2, which I thought looked fantastic. And I agree, Riskit. They're reusing assets, but a lot of people are doing that. But they added Brooklyn, Queens, going to Coney Island for you, Lord. You live there. That would be awesome. I would love a game in Melbourne. We don't get to see that much in Australia, so that would be really cool. And then it was funny that they opened the show with baby steps. It wouldn't be a game that I thought that Sony would open the show with. I think it was made by 3 people, but it looks fun. It looks kooky as hell. It reminded me of Octodad and just, the ridiculous antics that you get into that game. And I think that game would be really fun if you're all playing it in a party, all trying to do the same thing. I can see a lot of laughs. Wouldn't that get me to buy a PlayStation?
I can't wait to yell at you, Pete.
Straight back at you.
You haven't met Pete yet. He's the one that does the yelling. He's the one that knocks.
Yeah, I haven't heard Holy Rage. I heard her talking about raging when she was in a space battle in Starfield, and I'm so disappointed I missed that because that would be cool.
Nobody must ever hear that.
And then they moved on to, I think Roadblocks was after that, and PlayStation's finally getting Roadblocks. It's been on Xbox for ages. It's actually a big loss for Xbox, I think, not having that exclusively on the platform, because Roblox is huge. It's always in the top 10 games out there. So yeah, that's a big loss for Xbox. I know it's a small game, but I do see it as a big loss. And then VR, they had the obligatory VR stuff. But the Ghostbusters one was interesting to me because I think they said that you could play it in co-op. And we all know the entry into PlayStation VR is actually pretty difficult. It's very expensive, incredibly expensive, especially in this economy. And then you got to buy a game on top of that. And so I don't know how many people are going to know somebody, that actually has, a VR that they can play with as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that game goes. Resident Evil looks amazing in any form. It doesn't matter if you're just playing it normally or in VR. That game is top notch, and Capcom are just killing it right now. I was hoping to see Dragon's Dogma 2. I was really hoping to see Dragon's Dogma 2. Hopefully we get something on Dragon's Dogma 2 at Tokyo Game Show, because I just can't wait for that game.
Next week, right? 21st.
Yeah, 21st, bro.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The hit for the show for me, and I was surprised, was Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora.
Yeah, good.
That looked excellent. Great pickup by Sony to get Ubisoft to drop a big third-party game into their showcase like that. It showed a hell of a lot better than it did last time. And so the more I see that game, the more I want to play it. Helldivers 2 is my type of game. I love my co-op games. I love playing with friends. I love my shooters. But Umbra, you said something that I also noticed. I don't think the shooting looked, fantastic to me.
Agreed.
So, I don't know, bro. Until I get hands-on, I won't actually know. And then, I don't know, they went to Tales of Arise. And I think they needed to do that. Xbox just announced a couple of Tales of Arise games on recently for Xbox, and I think the PlayStation fans are a little bit unhappy with that, so it's good that they, renewed their interest in Bandai and that franchise, because it's always been big for PlayStation. And if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, I think that trailer was amazing. Problem is, I just don't care at all about Final Fantasy, so it just wasn't for me.
Sorry, Cog.
All in all, I think you would be happy as a PlayStation fan simply because of the marketing behind it.
Yeah, I mean, as a PlayStation owner, there was only a couple things there for me. So quite personally, but like I did want to go back to something that you said at the start of your sort of thoughts there. It's good to see with the opening with baby steps. It's actually good to see PlayStation supporting the indie devs, because we know that there was a bit of a narrative going on there where they really haven't been looking after their indie devs, and that is where you get these new mechanics. You get these crazy new games that do different things that usually you don't see coming and sort of shift the needle, I think. But Cog, I want to jump on to, I want to have a quick chat about how you think Forza's going. I don't know what you can say and what you can't say. But before we do that, guys, if you are new here, please hit the subscribe button. We go live every Friday, 8 p.m. at EST. If you're in Australia, that is 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And if you're in the West, like I am, it's 8 a.m., so a bit early. And hit the like button if you aren't new. And you want to hear more about Forza. So, Cog, talk to me. How's it looking? Is it everything that we've all hoped for?
For me, it was interesting cover because I feel like I have a unique perspective in the sense that I'm not the simulation racing guy anymore. Like, I am firmly the Horizon guy. So to me, they had to, come in with a lot to prove, to see, why would I have interest? And, they pretty much started us off with, kind of like two of the, I'll say really high performance cars. I'm not a car guy, but it was like some Cadillac test car, really high end. And it basically was to showcase the speed of the game and the track. And I thought it really showed well. And then after that, they kind of got us into what they're calling the Qualifier Cup. So the first thing I noticed off the back, there was 3 more. We're playing on Series X hardware, which I was very impressed, coming off of the Redfall situation where I was hands-on with something that was PC. So I felt Turn 10 showed a lot of confidence in that. They showed a lot of confidence in letting me capture whatever I wanted to, from a footage standpoint for the most part. So the first thing I noticed off the bat, there was 3 modes. It was it was 4K 60, and then there was 60 frames ray tracing with variable resolution as an option, and then the third one was full ray tracing 4K 30. So they had those options, and I was like, all right, cool. So I left it on, I think, the 4K 60 at first, and then I did try the ray tracing mode. Ray tracing mode was kind of subtle, but I did see a lot of lighting, a lot of reflections that I thought were really cool, especially say if you're going up a hill and you're trying to hit the racing line, and almost like that blind spot effect sometimes when you can't see because the sun is blaring at an angle. I thought that was really cool, and then obviously some reflections on the car that I thought was really, really cool, but more subtle. But overall, for me, it was one of those things that I said, okay, I'm the guy that when I play Forza, I'm used to a soundtrack and a festival. This is you in the road. And the cool thing, though, that I have to give them credit is that it really incentivizes clean driving, and it incentivizes getting better. And for a guy like me that played, I don't know if you guys played OG Xbox Project Gotham Racing. You remember I don't know if you guys remember the Kudo system?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right, so Project Gotham, bro.
What Motorsport's doing that I thought was really cool is during the qualifying, during the practice, they're breaking the tracks up into all these segments, to turn 4, turn here, and then they're rating you as you go, and then a timer starts. So each time you go around the track, it's all this positive reinforcement. Hey, you cut off seconds here, you did this here, that kind of thing. And I thought that was really cool because it made me, instead of it looking like a chore, damn, I just want to get into the race. No, you're really qualifying, you're really improving on every little segment. So I thought that was cool. I thought nighttime racing was really, really impressive visually. And then I think the key for me, and I got a chance to interview Chris Sasaki from Turn 10. I will plug. Nice. I highly advise you guys to check out the interview on ILP. It's up on Ireland's podcast and LawsGaming.net. Now, the thing that really impressed me is, look, I got to be honest with y'all, Cog's a little rough sometimes, trade paint might cut the line here and there. When the race first started, it's that first turn. It's I might be the guy to give you the little nudge.
That's me.
Don't feel bad, Cog. I'm doing the same thing. Right. Pushing everybody out of the way.
But I was good, man. I was good. Here's the thing. I was like, all right, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play like Horizon. I'm going to follow the racing line. If I see people, I'm going to brake. I'm going to try to race clean because the whole energy of the game is that, right? So now remember, like one of the first turns, it's really tight. And I see a racer kind of, I'm on the racing line, but he's kind of leaning in towards me. And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, bro, he's about to hit me. This ain't my fault. Like I'll be that kind of energy. And what the game does that I thought was phenomenal is at the moment of collision, there is a screen at the top. It'll say collision. And then the game will pause for like about 5 to 10 seconds. And you feel like the game is judging you. And what happens is, like it'll be like penalty, no penalty. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? So what happened is I asked, the developers what's going on. He said, well, basically it's machine learning. At the point of contact, Forza is looking at the 10 seconds before the collision, 15 seconds before, and the 15 seconds after to see if there's clean racing line, or it's just, incidental kind of thing. And there were a couple times where it was legit incidental and it really said no penalty. And I was like, wow, that was really cool how they judge it. Now, there was a time, Umbra, where, your boy came in really, hard, and I knew this was my fault. I rammed somebody up the road. Like I was really deboing. I was really acting up. So the game was like, no penalty. And then it gave me, 6 seconds off my time towards the end, at the end of the race. And I thought it was extremely fair. And I also was impressed that this is also in multiplayer. So good first impression for me as a non-simulation guy. I thought they really pulled it off. The key is going to be if the career mode satiates the hardcore. I am not the hardcore. So I think that's going to be the key, the longevity of the things they have. And I thought it was interesting that they said it's a platform now and they're going to continue to iterate for this generation with motorsport.
Yeah. I was just going to say, Lord Cognito, that why they rebuilt it all is because they had so much trouble actually pushing out new content because it was that much more difficult. So a lot of the rebuild was basically due to that. If you watch the Digital Foundry video, so I found that really interesting. And so I think you're right. I think we are going to get a lot more content from them, and for everything I've seen about the game, it's amazing. And they've had to redo all the tracks because of the new physics system that they introduced. There were too many bumps on the road that you couldn't even notice with the other system that they were using. But with the new physics, you just basically couldn't race. And then they didn't need to, they said, but they redid the grass and the trees, and they added a lot more 3D character models to the people in the background. And from the sounds of it, this game is going to be something special. I didn't expect anything less from Turn 10. It's amazing to me that they're able to push out close to 4K with checkerboarding techniques, 60 and ray tracing, I believe. I think there's like 3 or 4 different ways that you can presets that you can pick. So I'm not a big sim racing guy. I've Monad in the chat, who's probably the biggest fan of our show, basically a panel member without actually being on the show, loves this kind of thing. And he said that day he watched 5 hours of Forza Motorsport stuff. He just couldn't get enough of it. So really excited for him. And all other racing fans out there.
Yeah, want to run you off the road too, Gray.
Well, that's it. That's the thing. I was about to sort of cut back to what Cog was saying about this rewards clean racing, and it punishes dirty races. So I mean, that's pretty much everyone on the panel out. Haven't seen Blue race, but Umbra, you're never winning a race. Jedi's not going to win a race. I probably never win a race, so maybe I won't play. But I found it really interesting that to cut back to what Pete was saying, that they've gone through and remodeled the entire outside of the track, and as Pete said, they didn't need to do that. They could have just zhuzhed it up a little bit, kept it 2D and rock and roll. But if you watch a lot of the information that they released, they had to model the trees in such a way as they are 3D, and so when they catch the light, it reflects onto the track as the tree sits, and then weather simulations and global illumination, then obviously atmospheric effects and all that. Well, from what I saw, this is the technical showpiece for the console that we've sort of been looking for. and whether or not you like a simulation racing, and I'm with you, Cog, I'm much more of a Horizon guy. I'm definitely going to give it a run. Of course, it's on Game Pass. You have to. But to me, it's just great to see someone proving the things that we've heard about the console in a game. You know, seeing it actually running. So that is great to see. Umbra, is there anything you wanted to throw in about Forza, Blue?
Well, yeah, for Forza with me, I'm much like you guys too. Like Hog was saying, it same as you, Risk. I'm more of a Horizon guy. I've always preferred arcade style racers more than sim styles. Like, so give me the midnight clubs, give me the Need for Speeds. You know what I mean? So I've always preferred those more. But I have enjoyed Forza Motorsport games too. And like Hog pointed out, it's kind of in the vein of the PGR. So I think of the Project Gothams. And I kind of see Forza as an evolution of that in some ways, minus the kudos system. Yeah. And I love PGR a lot too because they actually came to Chicago on one of them, and I saw the building.
They came to City as well, bro. Yeah.
You see, and they actually featured the building I actually work at right now in it. Actually, it's kind of funny. They drove around it. I was like, hey, that's my building.
Yeah, so see, that's why I didn't like that game.
As simple as that.
Yeah, I thought the game was terrible, and you could almost smell the bad pizza as you were driving. So,
hey,
you mean the lasagna? You mean the lasagna?
Listen. First off, we can't have two people, and you from New York. So I knew you were going to. I knew you were going to.
I feel ganged up on right now. I feel ganged up on.
Listen,
I got bad homies in Chicago.
I can take it from my New York brothers, but I can't take it from Australians. You all don't know nothing about the pizza.
Oh, we got the best pizza. I'll send you somewhere. I'll freeze dry it and send it over. It'll still be better.
The only thing good about
that scares
Chicago
me.
is Holly.
Send me some.
All right, Pete's muted.
Everybody in the chat, put a tomato in there.
Yeah,
please.
that's a tomato. Straight up.
Y'all got us for hot dogs though. I can't mess with y'all. Y'all hot dogs is off the chain. I give you.
See, at least you're a realist. At least I'll give you that. See, we give you the hot dogs. Ours are the best, and we got Italian beefs too. If you all haven't had that.
Yeah, fire.
Yeah,
oh my, what is that? Portobello? What's that spot?
Oh yeah, Portillo.
Portillo. Oh
yes,
man,
sir.
that chocolate shake is dangerous. Oh man,
See, you get it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you get it. But listen, I don't like deep dish pizza either, though, being honest. So,
man, tell it the real.
Yeah, I'm being real. I don't care.
Tell it true, shame the devil.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pizza pie.
Pete. I'm shaming Pete right now. No, but like the thing I do appreciate is that they did and they describe it. Chris Isakai, who is like I believe the creative director. Said something. Yeah, he said something along the lines of it's like a generational leap, and I believe it because Turn 10 has been really good at not only just engine work because what they do is what the Horizon team uses. Playground uses the engine work they come up with. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Turn 10 gets enough credit for the hard work they put in when it comes to that.
100%.
But yeah, so I believe them 100% when it comes to what they've done in this leap because he compared it saying they've done more with this from 7 than they did from 4 through 7. As he put it, so I'm thinking that's going to play out really good there when it comes to that. And they, like Pete pointed out, they did a lot of the physics reworked from the tracks and everything like that, the tire collision model, all these different things. So, and it's 8 points as they kept emphasizing 8 points of contact with the track surface. So I'm interested in seeing how that plays out. I hope they don't have any of these we don't see any of these crazy things pop up like we've been seeing with GT7 or something where they start flying through the air like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or something like that. But
that actually makes the game look more fun to me, bro. You know what I feel sorry for? I feel sorry for the Crew Motorfest. It looks like they put a lot of work into that franchise. And they're going up against Forza now. That's going up against a juggernaut.
Well, but they chose their date, though. They chose their release date, and they've been pushing that game hard. Kudos to them for all the effort they've been putting into trying to get that game out there and get people to play it. And it's getting, I've heard a lot of really good stuff about it. It just, that release window is just brutal, man.
I think Rand was actually praising it the other day. So you're right. But it's like one of those things where they're just in between a rock and a hard place. I think Forza is just going to squash it. And I don't think, and it's kind of hard anyway for any other racer to kind of get a foothold lately outside of Forza, in my opinion.
And GT,
Forza is kind of like Forza and GT. It's really just those two.
You got to give them their flowers. I mean, GT isn't a bad game. Technically, it's probably cross-gen. It's not a bad game, but it is cross-gen, and it'd be interested to see what their next gen, GT8 looks like. I mean, that's the real, I think, competition if you're looking at the Forza Motorsport now, and that as well. Lost where I was going to go with that. I did have something, but I just wanted to say Chicago pizza is bad. I do want to move on to the next topic, but Blue, we didn't really hear from you. And I will say this to your point, is that the Crew's probably a slightly different game. That's more of, I think, competition for Horizon.
Definitely an arcade racer, bro. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I think that there's room for that to exist, but is there room for that to exist when we've got so much coming out? Blue, is Forza Motorsport up your alley? I actually don't know if you're into your simulation races or if you're more of an arcadey girl.
I'm a Horizon person. I actually played 5 way more than I've ever played any other racer.
Me too.
I thought it was great. It was so beautiful and just amazing. And I'm a very good driver in real life. No stereotypes, please. But I am trash at driving.
Wait. But you were a woman. How could that be?
See, there we go. There we go. See what I have to put up with around here, Cog? Like, it's a beating. I really liked Horizon. I like it very much. I bought the Hot Wheels expansion. That was a good time too. My first racer ever was like the first Gran Turismo, way in the back, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun. I still have my PS1 and I still have Gran Turismo.
And that was a leap forward at the time too.
That was a huge photorealistic. Oh my god! Just to watch the replay, it was so good.
Yeah. But I mean, I know what you're saying about different types of racers, but in all honesty, how many casual players really differentiate between arcade racers and simulation racers? I mean, you just look at it and you say it's a racing game. Well, what's the difference between these two? I don't know, right? And it's just, I mean, Starfield, then Cyberpunk, then Forza, then Call of Duty. There's just so much. And then how do you squeeze that in there and ask people to fork up $70 every 2 weeks for a new game?
Yeah, and then, I mean, I think they also set it up for failure with the way that they named it. I was some dude bro in the back of the boardroom was like, "We'll call it Motorfest, dude." That's just the weirdest name. I mean, I don't know who came up with that name, but that's probably not going to help its cause. Plus, release date is probably not going to help its cause. But man, look, if it's a fully priced game, I'm probably going to wait for it to be. Although that is an Ubisoft game, if I'm not mistaken, and the release date is around Assassin's Creed, and we're going to talk about Assassin's Creed. But one thing I definitely want to kick to the chat is if you don't want to pay full price for Mirage or any of these Ubisoft games, you can always just jump on the Ubisoft Plus for a month, get that game done, complete it, and then cancel your subscription. You've already paid, I think in Australia it's 18, in America around 15. So that's sort of a good way to go about it. We do need to move to the next topic though. Before I do,
the Crew Motorfest got a 7 out of 10 off IGN now. I know I'm quoting IGN, but it's actually by the Aussie guy, Luke Riley.
Shit.
And Luke Riley
got
knows
7?
his races.
Luke Riley is actually really good. So
he's actually excellent. So it's good without being great. So I don't know, if you're into your arcade races, I think you'll find a good game there.
So it's as good as Starfield. That's good. That's a good thing.
Please don't bring back those memories.
we got to move to the next topic. Before we do, please hit the like button. If you are new, please hit the subscribe button. Share us out. We go live 8 p.m. every Friday EST. If you're in the US, if you're in Australia, it's 10 a.m. If you're in the East, and if you're in the West, like I am, West Coast, Best Coast time is 8 a.m. Here's something I want to give Xbox a little bit of smoke for. And I don't know if the panel and Cog, if yourself, will agree with me, but I had a look at the Xbox Gamepas Core List of games that's going to be releasing, I think, September 14. And that's going to be the list of games that are available for you to play if you don't get into Ultimate. Why you wouldn't, I don't know. But this is, if you don't know, Core is replacing Gold, and it's sort of the interim step into the Xbox ecosystem. So I have mixed feelings about this and a couple of questions as to why, and I think there's some licensing deals that are obviously why some games are in and some games are out. But I'm just going to quickly read off the list of games so that everyone understands what's in there. So we've got Among Us, already free to play, so that's a bit of a... Astroneer, Celeste, Dead Cells, great game. Descenders, also great game. Dishonored 2, Doom Eternal, Elder Scrolls Online, which you have to pay for in a subscription service if you decide to continue on with the game. Fable Anniversary, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Firewatch, Forza Horizon 4, Gang Beasts, Gears 5, Golf with Your Friends, Grounded. Golf with Your Friends is also free to play. Halo 5, Halo Wars 2, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, Human Fall Flat, Inside, Limbo, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, no sign of Ori, the original. Overcooked 2, Payday 2, Crime Wave Edition, Power Wash Simulator. Come on, Riskit. Spit it out. Psychonauts 2, Slay the Empire, Spiritfarer Farewell Edition, Stardew Valley State of Decay 2, Juggernaut Edition, Subliminal, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, Unpacking, and Vampire Survivors. Underwhelming, in my opinion. There's some games missing.
You're crazy.
There's some games missing there, and some interesting choices of games that I don't understand why you wouldn't. I mean, I sort of feel like they're sort of forcing people into. I don't like that. I mean, if you know me, you know that I think their early access for their first party games. So like the early access they had for Starfield, the early access they had for Forza. I don't like it. I think it's predatory. I think it forces people who suffer from FOMO, like myself, into buying the game. And I don't like that. And I think some of this is forcing people to get into Ultimate. There's a bit there. So look, you've got Halo 5 Guardians.
No.
Well, hang on. I'm jumping straight to you, Blue, because you seem to disagree, and I like that. You know, I love a good argument. But Forza 5. So Forza Horizon 4. Why not 5? Where's 5? Mm-hmm. Halo 5 Guardians. Why not Infinite? You know, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Well, why not the first one too? Why are you giving them the second one? They haven't played the first one yet, you know, supposedly. Doom Eternal. Why not throw a couple more in there? What else is the ones that I had problems with? I mean, Grounded's great to have in there. You know, Inside Limbo, that's great. There is some good stuff in there. I'm not saying that there's bad games in there. There's just some interesting choices as to why would you put that in. They do have Gears 5. Love that. Blue, you seem to disagree.
I completely disagree with you.
Right, she's blocked. Get her out of here. No, that's so good.
I think I've played every single game on this list except for Spiritfarer. Mm-hmm. And that's probably it. I think I've played every other game on this list. And like all of these games are fantastic.
No doubt.
I mean, if you're gonna go down the route of like the Elder Scrolls and maybe Fallout 76 you can play without buying into Fallout first. But ESO, you know, has that. But that's one. Look, this is just replacing Gold, right? That's all this is for. The fact that they're even giving all of these games, and they said that they're going to change to rotate these out over time. I think if you're a person who really hasn't invested much in buying indie games or buying specific types of games, like Dishonored is my second favorite series of all time. I cannot say enough good about that. It is like a blessing for that to be on there for people. And, you know, Vampire Survivors, but there's something for everybody here. And the fact that these are all rolled into, you know, the very base tier to get you online. I don't think this is pushing you into Ultimate at all. I mean, look, if you play these to me, and you find
It says to me that you're not getting our greatest. You're not getting our latest. I mean, you're not going to get the first. You're not going to get the first party. Day one releases. That's fair. But games that have been out for a while, you're not getting the latest and the greatest of them. Why can't we have Halo Infinite in the core edition? It's a staple. It's what Xbox is about.
But I mean, so if you're going to put in the latest and greatest in this tier, why are people paying for Ultimate?
Well, there you go.
No,
there you go.
That's not the argument at all. Like this is the entry level. They're giving you a very good curated, different type of list inside. Are you kidding? That game is amazing. So like, oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. And like these are experiences that a lot of people wouldn't do until they do this.
Stop snitching.
I just think you're wrong. I think it's for the base tier. I think it's a fantastic list, and they're going, like they said, they're going to be switching games in and out as time goes. And for the person who's not necessarily ready to commit to the increased price,
so every man on the planet. Sorry, go.
Then you're gonna go with this, and you're gonna find out. Oh snap! This stuff is really good. Am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy.
It's really good.
I've listened to the negative feedback that they got when they announced the price rise and they announced Core, and I think they've curated an amazing set of games. And like honestly, it'll take a couple of years, if not more, to get through all these games. There's so much diversity there. I love how they've picked, different games from different genres, people, games that will, a lot of different people will like. I think they've done a great job with it. I know, Umbra, you've had a bit of a beef with this, that we're losing games with gold. I haven't played a games with gold game in forever.
That's because they sucked.
A lot of these games.
That's because they sucked. They did that on purpose. I do want to look.
They did do it on purpose. That's the problem I had with it. Is that they did that on purpose, and then just said, "Oh, we're just taking this away." Isn't this a great new deal? Like, no, it's not. You took something away from me, and you're charging me $1 more. Now, I will say much was made about the dollar thing. Like all of us agree.
$3 more in Australia.
Yeah, like that's nothing, right? Like, but more on you guys' end.
I'm gonna get half a coffee less a week. This is ridiculous.
It still didn't go up to $80 for the base tier like PlayStation did.
Yeah, exactly. Look at what PlayStation did in comparison.
What about them? Yep.
Right. What about some one-on-one, right? But, no, the thing though is, I look at Core and I think it's a solid deal. I do agree with Holly there. I think it's a solid deal, though the caveat risk is that is the fact that I think for us, when I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, but I've played most of these games here, so that doesn't do anything for me. So it only appeals to those who are kind of new to these games, and I don't know how many people will be new to that.
But you're a super gamer. It's not.
Yeah, that's why I said. That's my point. I said I don't know. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know how many people are going to be playing that. And like, oh, I never played this game.
Let the man finish.
Core is designed for. Sorry to talk over you, brother. But Core is designed for the people that are just coming into the Xbox ecosystem and they're just finding their feet with it.
No, I get it, but I think even coming into the ecosystem, they probably still would have played the game, right? Like it's possible they played those games on PlayStation. Like a lot of those games, from the insides and stuff like that, it's possible that they could have played those already. That's my point, and especially with how long they've been out. That's my thinking. So I don't know. I think it's appealing. And I think Core is much better than, say, console, for instance. Like I've had this debate. You all know how I feel on this. I think that they need to restructure a bit when it comes to console. There's no reason why there should not be a multiplayer portion inside of console. Like that's silly.
But then you lose Ultimate. I mean, we spoke about this. It's designed Core.
They have to incentivize it. They have to incentivize it then. Give me more reason why. I think all tiers should have multiplayer in it. That's
Agreed.
the way I think.
Agreed.
Now,
and to all of your points, and then definitely want to go to Cog on this, but to all of your points, Pete, especially to your point, Blue, to your point as well, and Umbra, yeah, I completely agree. They took something away and smoke and mirrors, and then now like you get nothing, and these guys aren't getting the best foot forward. This is not Xbox putting its best foot forward for new consumers. The best foot forward is your best games, like not obviously the most recent ones, because then there's no reason to come into Ultimate. But your best foot forward is Halo Infinite. Your best foot forward is Forza 5 Horizon. These are your best foot forwards. Why aren't you doing this to bring people into that ecosystem? Go, damn, these guys got some good games. I want to get their games day and date because they make good games. Cog, we haven't heard from you on this, and I'm curious to sort of see how you think. How you think of this?
I am seething. Wow, y'all really hard on that. I'm actually surprised at the pushback at this. Look, I get it. If we look at it from the lens of us, the hardcore, we played 90% of this stuff already. This is not for us. You have to look at it as the lens of an already existing Xbox Live Gold user, right? Who has, let's be honest, the offerings from Gold was dog water. Those 2 games they used to give every month were horrible. If you're going to tell me this is less value than those terrible games they used to offer, I highly disagree. And then at the same time, the guy that was the Gold guy, all he was on that for was multiplayer. They allow him to play multiplayer games. He may buy 1 or 2 games, a year, and then from there it's just really to stay in the ecosystem. There really wasn't being a Game Pass user. So this is where I will give you guys on the pushback, is that this is designed to kind of give you a taste of a whole wide variety of games, which I think are very quality, in here. But to your point, where I do agree, Riskit, and I do agree, Umbra, is that, okay, yes, there's a reason Forza Horizon 4 is here, because of the lower engagement, right? There's a reason, State of Decay or some games that, maybe towards the tail end because of the engagement. I get that. But I do feel that if you look at these games objectively, these are high quality games. And then it's also to appeal to someone who may be new to the ecosystem completely, who's like, okay, I'm going to think about getting a Series X. I'm hearing about it, or Series S. And okay, what do I get to play games online or just in general? And you get 36 games that could rotate. I think it's a good offer. Now, Core,
I think we all agree on the Core part. I think we're all in agreement. Core is the best one they've done. Like, that's the best new addition of how they handled that. My thing, though, like on the whole Games with Gold, my contention, I still hold true to this, is that I dislike that they purposely made it trash. So we would be like, indifferent by the time they took it away.
I'm with you. Now, this is where your argument is the strongest. Xbox, let's be honest, the way they handled the gold transition initially before all this core stuff was horrible. Remember when they tried to raise the price up? See, the problem is they had to figure out a way to get that gold guy into Game Pass. This is an engagement and a metric play to move them into. And where I do empathize with Riskit is that I know what he's saying, like, that should be Halo Infinite, right? But let's be real. They know this guy who's normally the guy that just buys Madden, Call of Duty, NBA 2K just for his Xbox Live Gold, and that's all he's doing is buying one game a year. If you give these guys the precursor game, it's like, let's be honest, it's like a drug deal. You give somebody a taste of something, right? And you're like, oh, by the way, the new Starfield is out. All you got to do is upgrade your, the Ultimate. You too could be. Like,
why are you saying it like you hustling out there? Hey, little taste, it's a taste for you.
And I can't get mad at that, because let's be honest, that gold guy was stubborn. He was never buying Game Pass. There's guys like that that's like, I don't want to do Game Pass. I'm cool with just buying NBA 2K or whatever. But if you entice them by giving them all these games that may have a prequel to something, like you giving them Hellblade 1 purposely because when that Hellblade 2 come out, what's going to happen on the dashboard, Riskit? You're going to see the Senua, Hellblade 2. Hey, you just press this button.
But listen, from a business perspective, that's
here's the last.
I get it.
Just want to make one last point, and then I'll give it back to you. To me, the key is when this is all going to come together, and I think this is the ultimate hustle, and it's going to work on the FOMO, is when the ABK deal closes. because I know those guys that just buy Call of Duty and that's it every year. So if they say, if now the marketing goes out, Xbox is the home of Call of Duty, all you have to do is get a Series S and Game Pass, and bam, here you are, right? And let's just say you cheap out and you just get Core. You mean to tell me that, damn, I could have paid $70, but if all I do is just pay this little $10 right now, I'm playing the latest Call of Duty? That's where they're going to win the engagement, and they're going to get all that Game Pass numbers they want. Is it ethical? That's another question.
Well,
I know the gameplay. Yes,
that's exactly it. I mean, that is the play, and that's what I don't like about it, because Xbox has been talking about meeting you where you want to play and giving you the choice to play how you want to play for so long, and then they do these little. I mean, yeah, it's a business. I get it. They got taglines. They're gonna say stuff, and it's not always going to be true. I wouldn't say that it's a lie, because obviously that's where they get engagement, meeting you where wherever you are and giving you the choices. But when they give you the only choices, if you want to play the latest greatest, you're going to have to upgrade to this tier. That it just feels like it's not Xbox's way. It feels a little bit predatory, and it's not why I love Xbox that they're doing it. I get it though. I get it.
We will have to say this too. In fairness, I know there is some predatory aspect. There's a little hustle aspect here, but in fairness, we've been in before this, like a 3-year to 4-year acquisition phase. And during that, bro, they were giving this thing away for $1. People were eating for free for a long time. Risky, they got to get that money. And now, you know what? You know when you know it's on? The minute they got the games, as soon as Starfield was released, that $1 deal was over.
Like, listen, I disagree too. By the way, I think it's much made about nothing when it comes to the whole early access thing. It's not like they're forcing you to. You can choose to say I'm not going to pay that. Many did do that. So I think that the inclusion of choice is a good thing there. They're not saying, hey, you have to do this or you won't play the game. This is a way for them to make money on the back end because they're putting it straight to Game Pass, and I have no problem with doing that when it comes to something like Starfield. I've more than made up for the money I paid for that. You know what I mean? What, $31 when me being included in Game Pass and getting early access? That's a W for me. Now people will say, "Well, it's not early." Like, I don't get into the semantics of that. I think it's just semantic talk, and it's irrelevant ultimately. I get to play a game that I've been anticipating this entire year. And I'm loving it. I'm 204 hours in. I've paid. My money was well worth it. So I'll say that. So I just don't think that it's a negative, honestly. And again, it's a choice. You can't get mad at a choice. You can choose to be, hold out. Even if your argument is, well, FOMO, it's still you. That's your lack of discipline. It ain't got nothing to do with them.
I was never one of those people that would get early access, but God,
man, just said I'm not disciplined
for so long. But I think we get DLC as well. So
you do. It's a W.
Yeah,
it's a W, no matter which way you look at it, in my opinion.
Oh man, they got you. Yeah, absolutely.
Fighting, I love him. He like, nope.
Wait, Riskit, did you buy it? Did you get early access?
Did you stand strong?
Yes,
they got you too.
Liar.
Yeah,
fraudulent behavior.
Hold on. All this talk about Risky. You bent the knee and got the constellation?
Well, I ordered that at the showcase, man. They had me like.
Well, Cognito.
They had you at hello.
All the money he got from FanFest, that check went a long way, bro.
Oh yeah, yo, bro, right. Man, we got paid.
I got the free constellation.
After that, we got like 3 of those.
Yeah, look, I understand. It's not egregious. It's not terrible. It's not horrific, and it is another way for them to bring in revenue. And I get it. But they are preying on people's FOMO. You just can't deny it. It's absolutely. They're doing that, and that's cool. It's a business. They're going to do it. But like, it's also a cue for consumers out there to realize that even though we get around FanFest, we get our photos. Like they're great people. Sarah Bond was lovely, man. Phil was great to talk to. All these guys are great, but they're running a business, and it's a business that needs to make money. And so, if they can engage in a predatory practice or what I perceive as a predatory practice, because it's very subjective. If they can engage in something that's like, hey, if we do this early access thing, we can get some money out of this, they're going to do it. And that's just be aware. Don't be fooled by the smoke and mirrors.
1 million people buy it, Riskit, so it worked. I mean, there is no doubt about that it worked.
I don't think it's predatory at all, honestly. I mean, we're not talking about a month, or we're not talking about 2 weeks. We're talking about 4 or 5 days. Plus, on top of that, you're essentially buying the DLC at the same time for the same price. So it's not like you're solely giving them an extra 10 or 20 bucks or whatever
they got
just
you
for
too.
4 days.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. If you
I
didn't
just
have
think
the
it's
DLC,
not predatory.
I'm writing this
it's a
down.
choice.
So who's
It's,
got?
and at the end of the day,
they got
they're
Umbra,
a
they got
business.
Blue. Yep.
Great. No,
All three,
look,
all
it's
three
a
of us are
business.
right.
He
All
part
four
of the
us are
crew
right.
though.
They got
He
everybody.
part of the crew. Don't let him fight.
Right.
That's it. He's giving us all this moral high ground.
It's like, do as I say, not as I do, right?
Yeah, trying to give off the facade of being morally upright, but he's corrupt like us.
I don't engage in these morally ambiguous practices. I do. I definitely do. Look, guys, if you're enjoying the show, please hit the like button. We go live 8 p.m. Friday EST. So if you are new here, please hit the subscribe button. Come join us. If you're in Australia, it's 10 a.m. on the east and 8 a.m. on the west. Unity just took a massive shit on themselves. Excuse the language, but I'm Australian. Like, how did they? I just do not know. I mean, Jeff Keighley got involved in this and said it was. I can't remember the exact tweet, but he was like, "This is egregious." And
Something like, what do you say, despicable or disgusting? Or
disgusting.
Really?
That's what he said. He
Oh,
said,
I
"This
didn't
is
know that.
disgusting."
Wow.
I'm like, "Damn, Keighley,"
Yeah,
and that's
I was surprised too.
Yeah. He's just straight out. I think that's got like over 1 million hits or something. So if you don't know what's going on with Unity is the engine. I believe it's Ubisoft's engine, if I'm not mistaken.
It's one of Ubisoft's engine.
Yeah, it's the tech company behind one of the most popular engines for creating video games. And what they did is they announced a new runtime fee. And with the new plan, they have a free tier. Obviously, that's for those that don't hit a threshold. That threshold is 200,000 downloads and earning 200,000 in revenue. It's 20 cents per installation thereafter. There's a lot here that's I actually sort of read through this and I'm not a developer, and maybe that's where the disconnect is for me, because I'm like, well, I mean, if you're making so a lot of people are talking about the subscription services, right? So if you've made 200,000, you've got 200,000 downloads, but you've made your 200,000 and every download thereafter I'm sort of two ways about this, you know. There's going to be a point at which that's diminishing returns and you're going to start losing money. But there's also a point at which that's sort of fair, and this would be a really hard system to release, or it'd be very difficult to get the money in for the way that they were operating before, which I think it was a problem. I think UE5 does a good job of it, where they sort of, you know, you hit this amount of money and then we start taking it, we start taking a percentage, and that seems fair. There's a lot of discourse around this one, and I'm sort of torn. Haven't completely decided either way, but from the sounds of it, developers are shifting away, and I think the main point here is what they've sort of done is they've damaged their reputation within the community so badly that I don't think anyone's going to trust Unity anytime soon. I think, which is the main sort of point for me, and whether it's bad or whether it's good, I don't know. But what I do know is they got a hell of a reaction from developers, and so that's going to be bad for business. I don't know who made this decision or who rolled it out or how they thought it was going to be a good thing for them. Cog, you know quite a few developers. You know a lot of people in the industry. So, what's the word on the street? Is this you think personally this is something terrible, or what are developers saying in the background?
Yeah, it's bad. This is probably the worst I've seen it from the developer community. And you know, I try to be open-minded with stuff like this, you know, just try to get both sides of the story. But I got to be honest, like, I'm always going to lean pro-dev. I'm always, these guys are the creators. These are the heroes to me. These are the ones that, you know, make the games we love. And, you know, as a person who goes to conventions a lot, you know, a lot of times when you go to a convention, and I almost look at it like an album release party, something of a new, album or artist that you never heard before. And you ask one of my favorite questions is actually, having a developer talk about the game and say, hey, what's the engine you're running? This thing looks great. And a lot of times, at their first times, it's usually Unity. You would see Unity out there. And a lot of these, developers of games that we love that, really start to shine. But right now, here's the thing. It is really oppressive to change, in my opinion, like the terms of service in this kind of way. It's very abrupt. And it's either, like you said earlier, the threshold or the revenue, and then it's this install count fact. So it's like there's all this uncertainty from a developer standpoint. Like, I don't know if my game is successful, like how much I'm going to owe, right? So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, if you look at it, this is what it feels to me. It looks like they have like a personal version of Unity and a plus. Like one is free and one is kind of like a lower entry price model. And it seems like they are pushing developers towards the pro version of Unity or the enterprise version of Unity. Because if you're on those versions, the thresholds for these, prices and installs are much higher, right? So that's what it seems to be going on right now. But the problem is, it's like a lot of developers are like, well, what happens if someone installs my game on, 3 or 4 platforms? How are you able to determine this? And Unity is kind of responding back to the community like, yeah, trust me, bro, with our proprietary
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Process. Yeah, we got you. Don't you worry. And it's just not sitting well. And then I don't think this is sitting well with the platform owners. Like, GamePass and Microsoft and PlayStation Plus and Sony. Like, you're just saying to people, oh yeah, Microsoft's gonna fit the bill now. Don't you worry, developer. Microsoft's gonna, because it's in Game Pass, they're gonna take. Really? Did you have a conversation with Microsoft? Did you really, plan this out that they're gonna just assume to take this cost? 25 or 30 million subscribers in Game Pass, and obviously PlayStation Plus's numbers as well. And the last thing I thought was really funny is that I guess the CEO of Unity, I forget the gentleman's name, is like Ciccarello or something like that. I forgot his last name. He previously worked at, first of all, he has some very controversial comments about
Riccatello.
Yes, Riccatello, thank you. He has some very controversial comments about developers are idiots for not putting more microtransactions in their games. I love them as creators, but they need to be getting this money. He's since pulled those back. But I thought what was hilarious is there's a Japanese developer named Suda51, and he makes this game called No More Heroes. Very eccentric, but very cult following type games. Apparently, this guy used to be his boss or worked with at EA. He was so hated, and the way Suda was treated during his development of his game, that he made this man the antagonist for real in his future games, where you can kill this man. And the only thing he changed, he kept, what was his last name? Umbra, I forgot, you just said it. He kept his name.
John Riccatello.
He kept Riccatello and they just changed it to Damon Riccatello. And this guy was the boss in his. I'm like, this is a level of hate, I guess, because of so much drama he gave Suda for trying to release his games there. So this guy's not the most liked. So I don't know how well this is going to fly. And the last thing I'll say is, I don't know, I've been speaking to Hogue and some other, legal minds. Maybe there's a potential for class action here. We have to see, because developers are really taking a stance. I've seen some people like Cold of the Lamb say come January 1st, we're delisting our game. I'm seeing people say, hey, we're, taking ads off. This is a thing. So we'll see how this plays out, and if they, they dig in the sand with this. But I was very, very shocked by all of this.
Yeah, looking, I've had a few people in the chat sort of, wait, you don't think this is predatory? And you think, I'm not saying it's not predatory. It's not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying I get, again, so yeah, it's predatory, definitely. And I think there's too many metrics for them for people to understand what's the system, and the way they're going to be taking money out your ass. You want to know that.
To the panel. think that they have done this because Ubisoft are bleeding money? We all know they're not doing very good. And I think Umbra, we were speaking about this the other day, bro.
They're not
Well, I
owned by
think it's a bit of-
Ubisoft. They're their own.
Yeah, they're not.
thing.
They're
Yeah,
not even
separate.
owned
Yeah,
by them
separate.
exactly.
Yeah, that's
It's
I was
just
gonna say-
Ubisoft uses them a lot.
Exactly. I was going to say this is all pure greed right here. Riccatello, I think, he did the same thing with EA, where I think he was one of the people at the forefront of the loot box situation. So like that's just greed, honestly. And they put their foot in the mouth, because now it's leading people to the rightful engine that most people should be on, an Unreal Engine.
Yeah, it's crazy.
like
The
that
amount of
setup.
work that Unreal Engine has done to improve that engine. A lot of people have jumped on
have.
board. When CD Projekt Red jumped on board, that shocked me, because I think the Red engine is a very, very
I do
good
love the
engine.
Red Engine too.
Witcher
I
3
agree with you.
still stands up, so there's definitely something about this iteration of Unreal Engine that developers are flocking to.
It's
All
got
this
its
is gonna
issues
do-
still.
Yeah,
still got its
but all
issues,
this is
like
going to
Unreal,
do,
but-
Umber, is push people away
Yeah.
from Unity towards Unreal, and I don't like that. I like there to be competition in the marketplace, because it forces engines to iterate and to get better. And I think the way that everyone to make money, and I think why everyone's pushing back so hard, is you make your engine open source, and then when you release the game, whoever makes the engine gets a cut. It's a win-win situation. You get more people using your engine that way. And then, like, the more people that know your engine, the easier it is. Like, so when you get a job or you get hired, you can say, yes, I know this engine. Developers will start using it more, and everyone makes their money this way. I just don't understand this pricing system.
I think the thing
Yes.
is too, is outside of the greed behind it, and the people being affected by it. It's just like a lot of like when we talked about it yesterday. It's they don't seem to know what they want to do either. Unity. And I think that's what makes it worse, because they knew it was going to be pushback. I don't think they knew it was going to be this type of pushback, right? So everybody and their mama is like, nah, this is not it. And now you got some developers who have free to play games, and they're like, how does this work for me? So I don't even make anything off of this game, and you're going to charge me per download? How stupid is that?
I think everyone combining together with the pushback, we haven't really seen this in the industry. I think you were suggesting that, Cognito, that they are going to take a step back from this. And I think
They are.
C-Steph put out in the chat, it made a great point, and I think, Cognito, you said the same thing. The Cult of the Lamb said that they were going to pull it off the storefront. So things like that can create a snowball effect, and I think we're going to need to get in front of it now.
Can you get a physical copy of that? Blue, you were going to jump in there.
Yeah, by the way, Cold of the Lamb was my game of the year last year. I love that game. I bought the plushie. I bought the hoodie. Thank you.
Can I just, before you go on,
should-
I just want to say I liked it. I didn't think it was bad, but
Nah.
it was still sad.
Tomatoes.
It's like your joke, huh?
Tomatoes.
It's like your joke.
Yeah.
Tomatoes,
Oh,
chat.
man.
I know what to do, chat.
I know what you.
Sorry, Blake. Sorry, Blake. You go ahead.
Look, you just set the bar low, so my conversation can only go up from there. So the Unity thing. There was actually a really, really great video today that was put out by Balar Gaming, and Asmund Gold did a react to it. So if anybody has 30-40 minutes and they want to go watch that, it'll really help kind of explain a lot of the details to it. But the things you don't even think about is it counts for game demo downloads. So every time a demo is downloaded, this will be like a tax to that developer, unless they change and it's not the same build as the final game and there's no progress that moves forward. Then you're getting at least double taxed, for somebody who played the demo and liked it enough to go and purchase the real game, the full build. Early
Yeah, that was
access
a question.
games,
Yeah.
early access games count. The other thing, so UE5 is free up until I think when you start at 1 million, then it takes 5% from each. So, they have a pretty high threshold, but then, 5%, I don't know.
But it's a model you can understand, right? That's a model you can. Yeah.
Right. It's free. Whereas Unity, just has basically a licensing fee, and then that's it, right? And everybody has been more than happy to pay that. But this obviously changes the game. And when you think about the storefronts taking 30%, your publisher oftentimes is taking 50% or more, right? And then you're paying the licensing fee, and now you have to pay them an additional fee. And $200,000 may sound like a lot to people, but it's really nothing. If you think about that's 2 to 3 game devs not buying any significant hardware. It's not, paying rent on a studio. It's pretty minimal when you think about the thresholds that are there. But it's really egregious what's kind of happening here. And the fact that they're trying to make it retroactive is just absolutely insane. Like, what, on January 1st, you're going to get hit with a bill for how, for what, right? Like Cult of the Lamb, right?
Retroactive is hilarious, too. Yeah.
Yes, the retroactive. You don't even know.
I didn't know they were doing it retroactive.
Oh, yeah.
And then, if you guys have seen this aggro crab game that's coming out, which it looks great. Like, it looks like a lot of fun. It's like a Souls-like as a crab,
like crab,
right?
Yeah.
It's going to be on Game Pass, and it's in Unity. And they were like, what happens with Game Pass? Like, how does Microsoft pay that? Do we pay that? How does that count?
Microsoft isn't paying it. Like, that's the funniest part about it to me. Like, what, they going to hit up Microsoft or Nintendo for Pokemon Go? Because Pokemon Go uses Unity. They were like, hey, so here's your bill for your, 60 plus million or 70 plus million installs. They'll be looking at them like they're gonna send like cease and desist letters from Nintendo to them. Like, I can see it happening right now.
There was some hypothetical.
I'm sorry.
So no. Go ahead, Cog. You're good.
No, all I'll just say, I just I'm gonna say, I just find it hilarious. Oh, don't worry, Microsoft, so they'll pay that. They're like, did you confirm this? Like, I just thought it was hilarious. Like, don't worry, devs. Like, okay, I'm dying to hear the Microsoft statement. Yeah.
You won't have to worry about that. Microsoft has it because they got you on Game Pass. Don't worry about it. And then the whole thought too was like you said with the whole trust me thing. When they said some of the stuff was just weird, like demos mostly won't trigger a fee. It's like, what does that even mean? Like, how does that work? Most of the time it won't. Sometimes it will. That none of it makes sense. And I think they're going to roll this back by next week, in my opinion.
We'll see. I don't know. And it hurts my heart because, like, and then, the other thing is Unity I think favors more of a 2D style game, and Unreal is really, really good at the 3D stuff more so. And it's not like Unity is the only engine out there that specializes in this, right? There's Godot and there's a couple others that are wildly popular at that level.
So wait, you're saying Unity is more of that sort of side-scrolling indie developer type?
Well, if you look at the games that have been made on Unity, like
it depends on their comfort level
Forest,
too.
My Friend Pedro, Hearthstone, Pillars of Eternity.
Yeah, I mean that's right. I agree with that. Yeah, I think it's more of a side-scroller. Yeah, I would.
Cuphead.
It leans more towards the indies. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But, I always think of the Unity splash screen for The Division because, that's my favorite shooter, ever. So,
I was going to say, and The Division is a beautiful game. It really does stand up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So but there are other options out there. So, I mean, all you're going to do is drive people to these others. And it's funny because a lot of these other engines were putting up tweets like, yeah, come on over. The water's fine, right? They're just going to rake it all in, right?
Yeah, I definitely saw Epic do it. I was like, yep, smart.
Well, they're creating a monopolistic sort of situation because there's two bigs when it comes to engines, and that's Unity and Unreal. And Unreal, I think, already had the advantage, and now they've got even more of an advantage. But look, I didn't want to sit on this for too long. Do I think it's predatory? Yeah. Do I think it's the retroactiveness is purely disgusting? And I like Umbra, to what you're saying that they'll roll it back. I don't think they're going to roll it back until they get those first checks, and then maybe we made a mistake here, but we'll hold on to these.
The first checks are going to be a depreciated value because most people have been abandoning them by that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah, likely, but there'll be. I think it'll bring them a nice little net revenue. But look, I do want to apologize to the chat. Unfortunately, my compressor took a shit, so normally you can't hear me typing away or me breathing. But unfortunately, For some reason, it's just not working. So I'll fix that after the show.
Yeah.
So my bad. We do need to move on, though. Before I do move on, I'm just going to read these super chats out. We got a super chat there from Matt D. Just got the @ This is the first time I've ever actually got that @ Very clever. Beanox, make a Xbox mascot kart racer like Crash Team Racing. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. I sort of can't wait to see what comes out of this Activision Blizzard. I don't have a lot of games in my purview that I love coming from Activision Blizzard, aside from COD. But it'll be interesting to see what comes of it. When they actually do close that deal. Alvin with the $5 super chat says, I once spent $79.99 for Jet Force Gemini on N64. Core tier is a fantastic deal. Yeah, it's not. Spartan 661. Thank you for the super chat though. With the $4.99. He says, sorry, I'm one of the live people. I travel a lot and I don't have time to play as the gaming pros like you. I'm not mad at the redirect. RIP Xbox Live. Yes, I am a gaming pro. Thank you very much, Spartan, for the super chat. I was just kidding, guys. Everyone was like, oh, shit, Riskit just called himself a gaming pro. Look, before we move on, please hit the like button if you're new here. Like subscribe, and you get to listen to my massive ego every Friday, 8 p.m. EST, is when we go live. I'm going to skip the Australian stuff and jump straight into some positive news, because Liza P has dropped. Don't know if you get a chance to check this one out, Cog, on the demo, and I think most of the panel has. I'm actually going to jump to Pete on this, because Pete, I know you didn't like it, and I was torn. It's getting pretty decent reviews. Windows Central gave it a 100. SMOS Xbox, which doesn't count Xbox Era, Xbox Tavern, the Xbox Hub, funnily enough, all gave it 90s. But DualShockers, where you could probably get a more balanced sort of review, they gave it 85. IGN gave it an 80. Game Rant 80. Press Start Australia 80. It's sitting at an 84 on Metacritic. And from what I'm hearing when you read the reviews, Windows Central review was quite a good one. I haven't read DualShockers yet, but it sounds like it's got the flavor of Bloodborne. It's got a Bloodborne-y feel to it. It's what I'm hearing from a lot of the reviews here. Sort of a spiritual successor, and it really leans into it in good ways and bad ways. Pete, is this something that you're going to jump into? Do you think you're going to give it a crack?
Oh, 100%. It's on Game Pass. Oh, Liza P, the most anticipated game coming to PlayStation. Which is free on Game Pass. Hilarious how that happens. Yeah, look, this is my style of game. I love my Dark Souls games. I did play the demo. I probably didn't give it long enough. I'm not sure what I was playing at the time, but I know that it was coming to Game Pass, so I didn't want to go too much into it. You're right, Risk. It didn't hit me. It didn't grab me immediately. Like I said, I probably didn't get it for enough time, but it's free on Game Pass, and I'm really happy for them. They're getting excellent reviews at the moment. My only problem is Lords of the Fallen is coming out very soon. I'm still playing Starfield. Do I want to play two games that are that similar back to back? I think the answer's no. So I'll probably leave Liza P in the background for a little bit, play Lords of the Fallen first. Still got a long way to go in Starfield anyway. So it'll probably be a while before I get to it. But this game, I mean, as soon as I saw it, it struck a chord with me. I mean, Dark Souls, the art style is beautiful. I mean, we all know the Pinocchio story, the reimagining of that. The robot, robots that you fight look really, really cool. I'm guessing, you're going to try and become a real boy and, try and get Geppetto to, turn you into a real boy. I think we all grew up with those stories. So, yeah, it's definitely something I'm going to play, but I might leave it on the back burner for a little while.
So you heard it from Pete first. Game Pass bad, Liza P bad, Lords of the Fallen good. Sum it up. Lord Cognito, what are you thinking? You thinking? I mean, I tend to agree. I think Lords of the Fallen will probably be the better game. But did you get a chance to check out the demo? Up your alley?
Not up my alley. I'm not a Souls guy, but I will admit this game visually looks good. I love the Pinocchio narrative. I do like the stop kind of animation vibe of some of the enemies and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool. It's reviewing well. We got our copy, but Launch Gaming now just a little late, but so we didn't want to rush the review. But everything I'm hearing internally is really, really positive. For Pete though, I want to give him a little inside baseball. I got a chance to check out that Lord of the Fallen behind the scenes with, at PAX West. I can't comment really too much on it, but I will say as a Souls fan, it was I mean, as the person who's not a Souls fan, it was very impressive, and they're doing some mechanics that I thought were really cool. So stay tuned to that one. Keep your eye on that one. I felt like the developer was extremely confident.
Did you feel like it was more approachable?
Mm-hmm. I feel that they knew that no one liked their first game. That they had to come out. Like they had to come out. Yes. They had to come out swinging. And what I will say is what I saw was extremely impressive. So I'm not a Souls guy, but I'm happy for the Souls community. Like they're getting gems right now, and this is a
no
great
one's able to do Dark Souls like From Software. No one can hit that.
Those are the guys.
You know that it feels almost perfect. I mean, you feel one with the controller. Everything I've heard of Lords of the Fallen is they've gotten as close to From as you can possibly get. And to go to your point, Riskit, you can play this in co-op, bro. And if you die, you go to the Umbra universe, which then you can get a second chance to come back. So I think they've made that entry level a little bit easier than other Souls types.
Yeah, absolutely. Umbra, it's about time you got your own universe. It's good to hear. So,
indeed. Revolving around me is the way to be. I agree.
All about you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what do you think, Eliza P? You think Lords of the Fallen is going to be the one for you, or there's too much happening? There's too many games. That we can all agree on. But you're going to be waiting for Lords of the Fallen?
I think it's more of the, like you said, it's a problem of over encumbrance, as people would like to complain about in Starfield. We got too much coming toward our way, man. We got Forza, we got like Pete pointed out, Lords of the Fallen, we got Liza P. We have a good problem, I suppose, is the best way to describe it. We got a lot of great games coming our way, and hell, Spiderman. I could keep going on and on. Like we got a lot. Assassin's Creed Mirage. We have too much to get through, and I'm not even through the main story of Starfield with 200 hours in. So I know I have a lot more to do. You know what I mean? So it's like, am I going to have time to jump into that?
Did you say Spider-Man?
Yeah, Spider-Man is one I'll also be playing.
Sorry, you go.
Riskit.
I'll gladly put on my hooves for that week. But yeah, I mean, well, a few days. It probably won't take that long, being honest. But anyway, but no, I'm going to enjoy that too. But it's like, when will I get a chance to really get into these? I think Liza P will be first for me though, because it's in Game Pass. It is getting good review scores. I thought it was going to be good anyway from what I've played and what I've seen. So I think I'll enjoy that a lot. But Lords of the Fallen does, to me, look more aesthetically pleasing overall, just because of the way it's set. It looks like a much prettier Dark Souls. So I think I'll enjoy them both. I wouldn't be surprised if Liza P lands stronger than it.
Big call, bro. They both look amazing.
They really do. Both of them look really good. I just think that the aesthetic that Lords of the Fallen is using in that world style calls directly to Dark Souls, and you think of Dark Souls and you don't think it looks as good as this. And so I think this looks really, really good comparatively. I also like the Umbral system, like you pointed out, outside of it sharing my name in some way, but the fact that it kind of brings back, you all remember this game, Legacy of Kain, right? Soul Reaver. Classic. I'm desperate for them to bring that back and reboot it, remaster it, or whatever. It makes me think of that in a way where you would shift worlds from the living or whatever to that whatever. I forgot it's been so long since I played it, but you would shift. It kind of makes me think of something like that. And I know there are other games that use that mechanic.
Soul Reaver. We haven't seen one for quite some time though. This is
a while.
Good mechanic. I like it.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and I think it's smart for them to go that way and make it more difficult when you shift to the underworld, right? So I think that's a pretty dope mechanic, and it looks way better. Part 1 I didn't like of Lords of the Fallen, so this one looks like they got it right to me. Yeah, so it's tough.
It runs on Unreal Engine 4, and Lords of the Fallen runs on Unreal Engine 5 as well.
That must be why that must be why I'm more tuned to Lords of the Fallen. Maybe that's what it is. No, but I mean, it's a W either way. Unreal Engine. So, but anyway, no, that was. Perfectly timed. Finally. But yeah, no, I think Lies of P is going to be dope though. So I mean, it is what it is. It's a win. Like I said, it's just a matter of us finding time to play it.
Yeah, I mean, but you can definitely say that when a conversation turns from Lies of P to the next sort of Souls coming out, like Lords of the Fallen, then, you know, that game is obviously doing something in the community because people are going, Lies of P, maybe, but Lords of the Fallen, definitely. Blue, where are you sitting? Do you think you're going to have time to fit in Lies of P? Are you going to go for Lords of the Fallen?
I was super excited when I saw Lies of P the first time. It looked kind of right up my alley, except I am also not a huge Souls person until I played Elden Ring, and then I was like, okay, maybe I'll give these a little bit more of a chance. The demo was a little disappointing.
Needed a quest log.
I do agree, but no, it doesn't need a quest log. Stop it.
Didn't need a quest log.
It did not. So, thanks for interrupting. I'm gonna play it. I do like the smaller indie games, and kind of seeing what people do, and sometimes they're a great success, and sometimes they just miss the mark a little bit. But it's good to give people who have a passion in a small studio some chances. And then Lords of the Fallen. I mean, I guess I'm gonna play it because all of you guys are gonna play it, and that's all I'll hear about it. So I probably will play it. But we'll see. My money is going to COD for sure because I'm a COD shill. And yeah.
There is that coming.
I mean, we've got Lords of the Fallen, we've got Alan Wake 2, we've got Forza Motorsport, we've got Assassin's Creed Mirage. I mean,
and I want to replay Cyberpunk before I play this. Before I play the DLC. So that's another 200 hours.
We were talking about this the other day, weren't we, Holly? Honestly, like, playing Starfield has made me want to jump in and play Cyberpunk even more.
I know. We were talking about that the other night. Yeah, it's like playing Starfield just gets me more and more excited to play Cyberpunk again. Yeah. I don't know why.
It is a terrible game. You guys are absolutely right. Cyberpunk was probably the worst game of the generation.
Whole leveling up system, so the whole game's going to feel fresh. You got the DLC just hitting. I mean, there is just not enough times to play all these games.
There is if you remove the trash, if you take out Cyberpunk and throw it where it belongs, set it on fire.
He's slanderous today.
He chooses violence all the time.
He was already hating on Chicago, so I expected him to be hating this entire show. I get it.
I'll give him that one.
Well, of course.
Vinegar tonight.
Listen, Australians, as we have come to learn, are haters in general. So we all learn. We all know this.
I know I'll be spending most of my time in the Astral universe, but I ain't spending any time in that Umbra universe. That's for sure.
Yeah, you got to be tough to hang out in the Umbra universe.
That sounds like a rated X nightclub or something.
Different over there.
Watch it, Pete.
Look, we do have to move on to the next topic that I definitely wanted to talk about. We had a few more topics. You did mention Assassin's Creed Mirage. That is coming as well. There's also a fully playable, apparently, this is just a bit of sidebar and I'll jump to the next topic. There's also apparently a fully playable sort of, I wouldn't say demo, but they've got Assassin's Creed Red fully playable in the background. I think Tom Warren reported on that. So it's very encouraging to see that. It's probably going to be dropping in 2024 Q1. So I don't think the games are going to slow down. So that's a good thing to hear. But before we move on, please hit the like button if you aren't new. But if you are new, hit the like button too, and then maybe hit the subscribe button because we go live 8 p.m. every Friday EST. If you're in Australia, it's 10 a.m. in the east, and in the west it is 8 a.m. Emabracer may be looking to sell Gearbox. My sort of point here and my main interest in this this article was, what else are they looking to sell? How badly are they bleeding? How bad are they? Can Microsoft get this deal closed? Can they swoop in and get Crystal? Because that's what I want. That is what I want. But if they're looking to sell Gearbox, I think Microsoft can have them too. Now, you all know I'm not massive on more acquisitions, but smaller developers.
This sounds like a lot of acquisition talk from you.
I'm like,
based on the conversation that me and you had, this sounds like you into acquiring things.
No, I'm not. No. Well, I am a little bit. Look, okay. small developers. Remember, I think we did have this covered. So give us some developers. I don't want them to acquire publishers. I don't want them to get too big, because then we start seeing predatory practices like, charging for multiplayer and taking games off players they already have, and then giving them a lesser offering like Core. That stuff will happen.
I love it. It's messy.
Riskit.
Predatory. Maybe they'll build an engine and then start charging people 20 cents per download. We don't know what they're going to do if they get too big. So we've got to be careful. We've got to be careful about what we want for them. But I would love to see them. Crystal has been like, I want them to have the Tomb Raider IP. That would just be the pinnacle. The pinnacle. I would love that. Cog, where do you see this? Look, we did have this conversation, and you're sort of, I think you're for the acquisitions from memory.
Yes, I am Lord Acquisition. Let's get it right.
And
be a man of the people. You like me.
It can be bad. It can be very bad. But look, what are your thoughts on Embracer? What would you like to see him swoop in and get? Do you think Xbox or Microsoft could close this deal and then get in there while there's blood in the water?
I'm with you. I think I'm a little nervous with a little ABK and the CMA. I mean, we're really pushing it on these deadlines in October.
Right to the edge, bro.
Yeah, and my concern is that, man, I just hope the CMA did not take them for a ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all this,
no,
we're working it
100%.
out. October, and then you know what, Microsoft? No, we don't like the deal. No, we didn't like it. And then like they're up against the the April, so it's like, we'll see what happens there. But I do agree with you completely, Riskit, in the sense that this is holding them up. We do know for the record, Microsoft said this is not the end of acquisitions post ABK. So I look at the Embracer situation, and King has a great theory. We talked about it, as far as like, when we saw the announcements of like, what is it, Crystal Dynamics, and then Eidos, and we saw the price, we were like, man, they got it for that cheap, based on the studios that they acquired at the time. So I've always looked at it like, okay, let's look at how they're handling things. Obviously, we see what happened with Volition, the guys that made, was it the Saints Row stuff? It just seems like they took on too much from an Embracer standpoint. Now we hear about Gearbox. I'm not necessarily. I don't feel Microsoft needs Gearbox. Just to be honestly, I don't have them, on my radar for them. But I'm with you, Riskit, with Crystal, because to me, obviously I'm a hashtag just one third person over the shoulder cinematic narrative experience that I want a couple more of those type of experiences besides Hellblade 2.
Why are you on Xbox then for, bro?
Well, the reason why is because I feel you could chew and walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. Like I feel you can
go.
You can have
there you go.
first lineup of games, and just because they're popular on another platform doesn't mean that you cannot produce one of your own.
That's right.
I'm from the era of Xbox that creates new protagonists for the generation, and I'm
coming soon.
I am tired of. But then again, think about it. Perfect Dark is not a new IP. As much as I love Fable, as amazing as it's not a new IP. I just want Microsoft to make new IPs that doesn't have a 2, a 3 on it. No disrespect to Hellblade.
That's for everyone too.
Yeah, I just want one in that genre. That's all.
That's one.
But at the end of the day, Crystal Dynamics fits the bill because you could say what they want about. They have world-class talent. As far as graphical engines and pushing the industry forward, you can say what you want. Marvel Avengers may have been the wrong play as far as the live service, but if you look at that game, if anyone's played that game, it is a visually appealing game, and the story was actually not that bad. They just tried to do too much with live service. But the reason why it makes perfect sense is because of Daryl Gallagher and that relationship. He is literally Crystal Dynamics. He is literally responsible for it. And remember, he got them to move in and help on the Perfect Dark. So I think that's a perfect synergy. I'm completely with that. I hope that these guys could close in time. Hey, if you want to get a little idols, I know Riskit might think that's too much though. So let me chill out.
Yeah, well, Riskit tries to err on the side of this moral thing like he was doing before though, Cog. Like I'm like, man, look. And it was so funny because we had King David on here and he just thought King David was going to be on his side. And I was like, and he's like, yeah, well, King David, Umbra seems to disagree with me, but how would you feel about
that is
them
not how I
acquiring?
sound. I don't sound like that.
And King David was like, he's like, I want them to buy everybody. I was like, yeah.
That King is worse than me. Like,
Riskit isn't against the buying developers, but it is against the buying publishers, and I agree with that. I don't want, I don't want them. I don't think they need any more publishers. I think that there is no way in hell Embracer is going to sell Crystal Dynamics. I mean, that is the golden goose. It's like Sony
only just got
selling. Yeah,
They only just
get
got them
that,
though.
but
Like I
they
don't see
got
why
them
they
for
wouldn't
an
get rid of them.
amazing price. I mean, honestly, like how they scored that, it's like how Sony got Insomniac for a ridiculous price as well.
But keeping in mind though, Pete, it's sorry to cut you off, but keeping in mind like this, they got them for an insane price, like you and Cog said. I agree, right? We all were like, what? 300 million for all of that? But think of it like this: what if they double up on that? Because they are what, 2 billion in a hole because of that situation with this word agreement that they did, this word of mouth.
And they have bought up so much that they would definitely offload some of their other assets, I think, before they offload Crystal Dynamics. And on the Gearbox front, just quickly, Gearbox is going to be coming out with the Borderlands movie and another Borderlands game. The Borderlands movie is going to have Cate Blanchett in it. Really, really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to jumping back into the Borderlands universe. My type of game.
Pete,
co-op shooter, crazy,
are
wacky.
Are you shitting on my dream?
Pete, no!
Anytime I can shit on your dreams, bro, I'm going to do it.
I encourage this behavior. And listen, R.L. Stein said I was spot on with that imitation. I agree. I think you guys just hate on my Australian accent. I think I'm pretty. I don't know. What do you think, Dog?
He must be from Chicago. Has no clue about pizza or
it was messy as hell, but it was funny.
I thought it was spot on.
But it was funny as hell.
Like, listen, I'll do it again. Like, well. Clark, let me ask you, look, see, it almost couldn't tell the difference.
Look, if Bethesda is listening, they're probably going to hire you because they also love their bad Australian accents. So they're going to be they're going to be knocking on your door any minute. What do you reckon, Blue? That's very Australian. What do you reckon, Blue? What do you think? Do you think we're going to see Microsoft close this deal and then get into conversation? Because look, Gearbox is not a bad buy, but to your point, Pete, yeah, it's a tough one to let go. But when you've got it for 300 million, like Umbra was saying, if you can offload that for a bill, you've just solved your problem. So, Blue, what do you think?
Didn't they buy Gearbox for 1.4 billion? I thought they bought them for 1.4.
Not sure, but I know Crystal was only 300 mil. So
okay, well, Gearbox, I think Gearbox is a really good studio. I mean, Borderlands, the Tiny Tinas may not have hit right, and Borderlands 3, had some issues, but they have a really unique art style, and they're very good at it, and they obviously build very large games. I don't know enough about Gearbox to know like how they're managed per se. I do have some opinions about what is his name, Randy.
Yeah, he's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, interesting is a good way to go with that.
Anyone called Randy is going to be interesting, though. Come on.
Yeah, he's a wacky man.
Randy Pitchford, right? Right? Is that right? Okay, so with maybe some fresh moves and new opportunities that Microsoft, at least on the outside looking in, seem to be allowing a lot of these studios to have once they're under their umbrella. Who knows what could come from them? I don't know about Crystal because that hasn't been talked about, right? All you can know is what's up for sale and what's not. So, Gearbox just published Remnant 2.
Let's hypothetical it, and you were 110% right. It's 1.3 billion. But say Microsoft closes the deal. You've got Crystal working on Perfect Dark with Gallagher, at the head of the initiative, founder of Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah.
And Microsoft comes knocking at your door, says, "Look, we'll take Crystal for $1.5 billion." What do you do?
Well, I mean, they're gonna upsell it. they're gonna negotiate higher because you never come in with your base offer, right, or your high offer. But,
okay, so Microsoft comes in with $500 million.
What seems to be happening though is Embracer's, trying to sell off a lot of their debt, right? They're trying to get down to like $900 million of debt, right, which is cuckoo bananas to think about. So I think if the price is right, anything's for sale. Because that's the way business works, even if you're not in financial trouble,
That's
right?
That's right.
So
I also think that they need to wait for what Crystal is able to actually push out for Perfect Dark. I think Microsoft might be actually testing the waters with that deal as well.
Yes. Good point.
imagine if they did a fire sale and took both of them.
Oh yes, I like that idea. It's something though, because even when I know you all remember like this whole conspiracy theory around it when they acquired them for so cheap, and we were all like, "Damn, Microsoft, why were you buying ABK at the time? If only you weren't, we could have gotten Lara Croft and all these other things." But now it's like maybe they still can get them, and I think they can. And I like Holly was saying, the price is always going to be right if you offer it. Nobody's like oblivious, or at least unique to the point where they don't want to sell. Like, I mean, maybe not Nintendo, I guess, but I think even if you offer Nintendo enough money, they'll sell off, right? So like it's just about a matter of the zeros behind those numbers. And I think that you offer them enough, they are in debt. I think they'll offload a Gearbox for a reasonable price. I think they'll offload the Square Enixes and the Crystal Dynamics, not Square Enix. I'm going to say the Crystal Dynamics from Square Enix. Crystal Dynamics or the
is it Crystal Dynamics or is it Crystal Dynamics? Sorry.
Crystal Dynamics is yeah. I think they'll offload them for sure. And honestly, at $300 million, if they gain double that back, that's a W for them. So that I'm sure Microsoft will pay $600 million. Let's say something of that nature. I'm just throwing it out there, but I'm sure that $600 million to grab those studios back from them and bring them in house. That's an easy W. And like you said, they got Daryl Gallagher already in the initiative, and they're still building that studio. So why not get them and bring them right into the initiative?
Agreed. Yeah. If I'm Microsoft and I close this deal and I'm looking to get another publisher, I know that there's blood in the water. Embracer's bleeding out. I'd be straight to the door, knocking on the door, because as Cog said, just one more, or just one. Sorry, hashtag just one. We do as Xbox gamers want that just one. And I've heard it said, and I'm not sure who first coined this, but Crystal Dynamics is the best PlayStation studio that isn't a PlayStation studio. They do that over the shoulder, third person, action adventure, narrative driven game as good as any PlayStation studio, and to have that in the fold for Xbox, I would take them over the entirety of ABK. Personally, that's just me, and I'm with you, Lou.
I would too, actually. No, I would too. Like business-wise, we get it.
Hell no.
I'm with y'all.
Business-wise, I get it. I get what you all coming from. I agree with Riskit on this one, though.
Yeah.
Infinity Ward, Treyarch, come on.
Definitely. Yeah, Crystal is like one of my Tomb Raiders, all great. I think it was the second one that people weren't too happy with, or it was middling, or it didn't do well. I mean, nothing does well under Square, according to Square.
Right.
But especially if it's a Western studio. And to your point, Cog,
So much else there. They've got THQ Nordic. They've got Deep Silver. They have got so much more. They've got Saber Interactive. I don't know. I can't see them doing it. They have so many assets. Yeah, they probably cut too deep when they bought, or they were buying up franchises left, right, and center. And I think Saints Row hurt them. It hurt them a lot. They can't afford another failure like that.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to have those failures. You've got Space Marines 2, which look absolutely amazing. And when you look back at the slate of games they've released over the last, since 2020, 2021, they have been stepping it up. All of those games that you see that are Focus Entertainment, that's all Embracer. They've been doing phenomenally. I personally thought they were looking to step into that AAA realm when it comes to quality, but I think they were doing just fine in that AA sort of realm. I think Space Marines 2 will be. But to your point, Cog, going back to what you said about Eidos Montreal, and I think someone in the chat, Terrific, said that Eidos Montreal's working on Fable. They are, and I think that's another studio that works well. Someone else they could pick up. I would be down. I would be down for them to pick up Eidos and or Crystal, and I think then that would be enough. We could stop there. That's enough acquisitions. Just get those two. Hashtag
it's great
two more.
that they're working on Fable, but I would love another Deus Ex. Love that game.
Yes, Pete. Oh,
I love them both, and getting Lara Croft, because I call back to that little advertising marketing they did back in the Xbox One generation, where they showed Master Chief, Lara Croft, and who else did they show? They showed,
that was just unfair. They shouldn't be money hatting games. How dare they?
Marcus. They showed all of them on there, right? And it was like, to me, I think to a lot of people, they were kind of like, oh, wait a minute, are they getting Tomb Raider? And Tomb Raider just seems like it'll be at home here at Xbox to me personally. I think it'll be a smart investment to get that and to bring her home, because they got Uncharted on PlayStation, having your own, kind of Uncharted like game with.
Remember
with
when
Lara
they
Croft
brought
and an icon at
Tomb
that.
Raider, and the whole world just went crazy about it. Imagine if they actually bought them. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
You're missing the another point here too. It may not be purchasing a studio. It may just be purchasing some IPs.
Yeah,
right?
Could be that too. Yeah, they could do that.
Why couldn't they just buy the Tomb Raider IP? Or, I mean, can you imagine if they bought Borderlands out from Gearbox? That would be crazy.
I mean, they could just buy Embracer.
Not enough has been done with Darksiders. Not enough has been done with Darksiders, in my opinion. I think that could be a fantastic
I agree.
franchise.
I miss Darksiders fell off because of the funding and such, but what a great series to unfortunately not get the love it's due, because part 1 and 2 are just spectacular of Darksiders. But just to go back though, I do hear you on the IP thing, Blue, but I would say, man, grabbing Crystal Dynamics would be the way to go. Like in general, I think it's just a smarter play. On top of getting the IP, you get such a quality team, and like you were saying, they get that over the shoulder thing. They are kind of like a PlayStation studio that's not owned by PlayStation, as you all were mentioning. And to have such a quality team with a quality icon as Lara Croft, that's a major W right there.
Snap them up.
100% agree.
Phil, if you're listening, snap them up. Yeah. Matt, Booty, Sarah, do it. Get in there.
Can I ask? Wait, I want to ask Cog something real fast on this.
What's up?
Just thinking about how you're talking about the just one. So, just in a hypothetical world where Bethesda was owned by Microsoft for the last 5 to 10 years, do none of those Bethesda games really satisfy that feeling that you have that is missing, or you think is missing? No, it's just a hard no, huh? And Bethesda umbrella. Well, no, just a Bethesda umbrella, right? Because Arcane's my favorite studio. I love them. Dishonored and Prey and all of those are fantastic. So for me, that I would rather have those all day than God of War or Spiderman and I love Insomniac. I think everything they do is brilliant. But I'm just curious, if any of those you feel like they're in the same realm, or if it's not.
That's a great question. I get to ask this a lot. The thing is this: Bethesda to me is the king of the Western RPG, right? And those games, if you put a gun in my head, I'm with you, Blue. Those games I enjoy and live in more than the quote unquote hashtag just one games. Like a game like Starfield and a game like Dishonored, some of these games you can just live in and they're well written, and Bethesda has that down. The problem is this, and remember, I'm a Duke Defining Duke. I'm on Last Stand Media. It's number one PlayStation podcast is over there, right? So I get to hear the other side. And the questions that come to me, they'll say, hey, God, we love Xbox. We really want to get down. But it's just like, some people are like, hey.
Do not say that. Sorry.
Yes, they do, Riskit. I go to the event. They come up to me, God, Batty, we love you. We want to be a part of the ecosystem. But I'm waiting for blah, blah, blah. Now, Bethesda, when the acquisition happened, Blue, Yes, people are like, I'm a Bethesda fan. I love Skyrim. I'm excited about Starfield, and I've got tons of people literally messaging me, and it's not anecdotal. That it's like, hey, I'm picking up an Xbox for the first time right now because of Starfield. Awesome. Now, when it comes back to the Just One stuff, is this. Then there is, we have to be honest. There was during the Xbox One, PlayStation 4 era. That was a generation Microsoft couldn't afford to lose because they lost the 360 guy. The 360 guy became a lot of them became PS4 guys because they didn't like the policies and they didn't like the games that were being displayed.
Traitorous and fraudulent, but yes.
And a lot of people got digital libraries at that time as well.
Right. No, absolutely. You're absolutely right, Pete. So what happens now is I speak to that group. And I'm like, all right, well, what would it take to kind of get you? And you're like, they ain't got no, why their games, it's the most powerful system, but I'm not seeing it, right? So that goes to graphical fidelity. 2, as much as, some people on the Xbox side clown and say sad dad, a lot of people love that movie narrative cinematic style of a game, right? Because they get to sit there and they get to showcase and show it off and they connect. And the thing is, for a lot of the hardcore, they just want to see Xbox have that new IP. Like, for example, when, the OG came out, Master Chief was the face, right? It was this new IP, pushing things forward, graphical fidelity, the whole thing. It wasn't, third person, but you get my drift. Then here comes 360. Gears of War, Marcus Phoenix. Oh my God, right? This is this new thing that's just amazing. We've never seen it. That's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for that.
I think we could get it. I think we might get it from Obsidian in Exile. Clockwork Revolution looked amazing.
It does. But again, we're in a Western RPG bag. The thing that a lot of people want to see Hellblade would have been it. There's only one stipulation. It's just that Hellblade and Fable are literally #just ones minus the fact that they're just not new IPs. They literally check every box. They push the graphical fidelity forward. You see in the power of Xbox with both of those games, right? You're seeing, the narrative over the shoulder, that kind of thing. And here's the key. And this is what I hate to say it, but this is what disqualifies Bethesda sometimes. AAA production value. As much as hear me out.
I agree. I agree with you.
As much as we love Starfield, are we going to sit there and say that is pushing gaming graphical fidelity to the limit? We've never seen anything that looks as beautiful as Starfield. It's a great looking game. I love it. Arguably my game of the year still. But if we want to be objective and say, does that game show you the power of the Series X? Come on.
No.
We have to be honest. So
but it wasn't built for the Xbox.
Correct. Absolutely.
We're not there
I'm
yet.
with you. It doesn't negate the greatness of Starfield. COG is trying to win the guys and girls that we lost. They want that as much as people are like, oh, it's just sad, Dad. Those games sell. They do well. The God of Wars, the Last of Us. That's what they just want to see. One of those. If they can create one, I'm telling you, and that's why I love what you said about Crystal Dynamics, because they make that style of game. I look at, I would love to see, not no disrespect to Gears, but I would love to see what. About my guys from what's that?
Coalition.
Could you imagine? Because I feel Coalition, they don't get enough credit.
Pushing they're phenomenal.
If you see Hive Busters, I go, oh my God, that's the Series X right there. So could you imagine them with a new IP in that style?
God, this is why I got so upset when they canceled that game that they were games.
Yes,
I know. So in my heart, as much as I'm being difficult and teasing Xbox about this, I know they can do it. They've got the talent as part of the studio. There's at least 4 to 5 that I know can do it. It's just I want to see one. That's all it is. Because they got the better strategy. I do feel that Xbox's diversity of lineup is the superior play.
Well, you can tell. You can tell that it is because you heard it.
It's more diverse.
3 times in the PlayStation recent showcase, the mid one, but the mid one where they said diversity 3 times. They were like, we are bringing you a diversity. They're trying to catch up to what Xbox is doing, while still being the leader, which is crazy to think about.
Absolutely. So that's it. That to your question, but that's all it. What's up?
Why they didn't market Hivebusters, brother, is just beyond me.
Oh.
That game is beautiful.
Preach.
Why it's not a? This is. I will say this as well.
Spun it off on.
You're right. You
Sorry.
go, Blue. You go.
They should have spun Hivebusters off into like a $30-$40 thing. And made it, a couple hours longer.
Exactly.
So like a short one.
Exactly what I was about to say. Why they didn't spend more time on Hivebusters as a standalone, even a shorter experience, and then you've got something early on to release for the Xbox Series X. Then I do not know why they did that or how they did that. I think that was a misstep.
The marketing, and I love they started to introduce individual like classes per gears, right? Like this one can do this ability. They start to play around and do cool things, and man, I'm with you. Like I wish it was a little bit longer.
That's why I like Part 5 a lot, and I don't think Part 5 itself gets enough love because I like that they started adding in RPG-like elements. So whereas, and I think they could evolve with that. I like the open world aspect, semi-open world, to be fair, but I think with Hivebusters, I think the smart play is what they did, to be honest, because it introduces these new characters and and this more colorful palette that the Gears world typically didn't have,
and a new story.
Now that people and a new story, so now people know them and they can say, "Man, we saw this, we love what we got there." Now that opens the door for them to have a spinoff and have that expansion that we're talking about.
And the characters were fantastic, and the new gameplay mechanics that they added were fantastic as well. And the game played very differently depending on which character you picked.
Yeah,
and it felt the cog operators and that just kind of went back more to the roots instead of the story that we've been getting with JD and Kate and
don't get me
Del,
started.
right? And don't get me wrong, I'm okay with it. The 5 got long in the tooth with a little of the dramatic storytelling to me personally, but I don't think those characters are necessarily bad, but just going back to more of a gritty, Marcus and like Marcus and Cole and that, like, just more grit and more depth
horror.
And more
horror,
darkness.
Yes.
Yes.
They gotta finish the Kate story now. They're too deep into it.
Let it die.
To finish it now.
No, the DS.
I'm with Pete on this one though. You got to finish it. You can't just stop it.
But you could wrap it up pretty quickly.
Put it into tactics.
Something.
Put it in another tactics.
Tactics was really good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want them to wrap it up like that. It's the problem that Halo 5 had going to Infinite. Don't just quickly wrap that up, or at least 4 to 5, should I say?
Okay, how about this?
Quickly wrap that up like that, it caused the issue, and that's why 5 story was so trash compared to 4.
Well, why don't they just start the new game, and in the first 5 minutes, everyone dies, and then we shift to something else. Okay.
That sounds bleak.
Yeah, darkness. We want darkness.
Just glad you're not working at the Coalition right now. That's all.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Oh, here we go.
I'm hovering over the mute button, but look, as soon as Umbra starts singing, we know we got to get out of here. It has been an absolutely fantastic show. Everyone in the chat, you guys have been absolutely amazing, I have to say. There was an absolute bucket load of you guys here. I do apologize again for my audio. Normally, I have it compressed and it sounds absolutely amazing, but today there's something going on with OBS, so I will blame them and their silly updates. Lord Cog, man, it was so good to get you finally here and chat with you again. I haven't actually had a chance to talk with you since the showcase, so just even having a chat with you is always a great thing, man. Whether it's on air, off air, wherever it is, you're an absolute legend of the industry. Please let the people know where they can find you, and if you do want to find those links, they're always going to be down in the description for our guests and our panel members. Cog, what are you up to coming up soon, and where can we find you?
Before all that, shout out to Xbox Infinite. This is a really fun. You guys have a really fun podcast. I want to shout you guys out. This was a lot of fun. So thanks for the invite first, and I'm glad we waited in a way because it was like we got like such an awesome show. So I love the conversations. Everybody was killing it. Getting the synapses firing. Great thoughts, great debates, fun topics. I love conversations like that. So keep up the good work, Riskit and team. You know what I'm saying? So I had a good time. So salute to that. As far as me, Lord Cognito on Twitter. Every Sunday is the Lord's Day. We will be back with my brothers. We got some fun topics, mostly kind of some of the stuff you guys are talking about, and maybe a little TGS. I'll give you guys a nugget. The week after, we will have Peter Moore returning. And
nice.
We're gonna
Nice. Yeah.
We're gonna finish off some more of the 360 era, some more of the Dreamcast, of course. But we didn't get attached to touch the EA, and of course, a little Liverpool football. We got to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, you left it hanging, man. Like that. Yeah. Yep.
He's got such a amazing career of so many things he's done. It's hard and to keep track. And he also worked at Unity at one point, so I might have to ask him about that. It's good on there. So salute that, obviously, for those who follow me on Defining Duke, Mr. Manny Plays. We just got that out, talking about Starfield, having some fun with that. And obviously, if you want to support lordsofgaming.net, some of the best, independent site talent that you can see, and we've got some real great content up there. Obviously the Turn 10 interview, some reviews up. Check us out. And again, Riskit, really appreciate the invite. This was a lot of fun. Blue, Umbra, Pete, this was dope. I really had a good time. I couldn't believe the time flew by. I'm like, man, I was supposed to go a while ago. I was having too much fun.
Yeah, look, man, it was great to have you on. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you spending your time with us. We always do appreciate all our guests, but it was great hanging out with you at FanFest, and it's been great to hang out with you today again. Pete, somehow Infinite slid to the bottom. I don't know what happened there. So Pete, another fantastic week, another fantastic show, man. So let people know where they can find you, what you'd be up to.
Yeah, look, I should always be in front of.
Well, let me jump in really quick, Pete. I wanted to give you a compliment by saying, "Oh yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter." No, sir. He put an X in front of my name, Cog. Do you see this?
Oh, what you talking about?
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, hard act to follow going after Cog. Absolute giant of what we do, brother. And it was just awesome having a conversation with you today about gaming. And I think I wrote it in, the green room in the chat that the conversation just flowed today. Honestly, didn't feel like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, bro. So I understand how you guys at the Iron Lords do it, man. You guys know your stuff. It's on a terrible time for me in Australia. I think it's like 5 a.m. or something, but I always catch you on the rerun, man. Love you guys. This is just, man, this is a great show today. Thoroughly enjoyed it. You can find me at JediKnightPeter everywhere, and I'll be playing Starfield.
Absolutely, man. Me too. Blue, seems you're next up. I don't know how Umbra just sort of slid down the bottom there. It must be a glitch. Don't know what happened. Blue, another fantastic week, another fantastic show. Please let people know where they can find you. Not enough people follow you on Twitter, because I love your Twitter. It's actually really funny most of the time. So do go follow her. Her links are down in the description. Where can they find you? What are you going to be up to?
I posted a picture of my cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs dogs today. So that's the kind of great content you can see from me. I'm on Twitter, and it's HLYBRI, but my gamer tag is that blue number on all platforms. And Cog, we met in LA, and it was such a pleasure to meet you there. You are just a lovely person, in person, just as nice and friendly, and it's really just nice to get to sit and actually talk some gaming with you. And I do watch on every Sunday. And it is y'all are funny, okay? That's it. And I'm wondering, did you wind up ordering the Vasco? I know you're into, well, I know King really is, but I know he's getting you into all these statues and all that stuff, right? Did you get Vasco?
I got the Vasco. Got the Constellation Edition. My wallet is crazy this month. I gotta relax.
I'm talking on the Starfield mic for tonight, so I got you. I understand.
I came home with that Constellation Edition and a controller. It was like $600, so $800 worth of Aussie. Miss is not happy, but sorry, Blue. Sorry.
No, you're good. Anyway, thank you for coming on, and hope to talk to you again some other time. And it was a real pleasure.
Absolutely, thanks so much. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and that seems like
and I apologize for Riskit and his snarky behavior.
I no one needs to apologize, but it seems like we got everyone, because there's no one beneath Blue now. So I think we've outroed everybody. It's been what happened?
So you just gotta cut me out. Huh?
Infinite, another awesome show, man. Yeah, coming along, giving us your takes. Love having you as a panel member. For I think we've been going for 2 years now. So please let people know where they can find you. Let them know about your show. And again, guys in the chat, if you want to find anyone, head down the description. You can find their links there.
Yes. This, I guess, Friday now has become officially the Lord's Day. Thank you for joining us, brother. It actually was a really, really good discussion, and it flowed so easily. It's like you've been a member with us all this time.
I appreciate it. This was fun, man. You were killing me with the jokes too. You were hilarious.
I try to carry the show as much as possible.
Don't give him that oomph. He doesn't need it.
Oh, you compensate for the whole. You compensate.
That's what you said. I gotta compensate, Cog. You know how it is.
No, God, please, no.
You see what I'm working with, Cog. You see
that live on.
I see what's going on. Man.
No, but seriously, much love to my castmates here, and to you, brother, for joining us. I know you got a busy slate of things. You're always busy doing things and working out too. You're making us all feel bad, us over the age of 40. So I need to get myself back in shape. Seeing you, I'm like, okay,
well, brother, come on, we got to get back out there.
He might arm wrestle me at this point. I'm like, yeah, I'll give you that one. I'm like, all right, I got to get back to lifting.
I need you around for these games, brother.
Absolutely. It's so funny because sometimes I would sit to myself like, man, I sure hope I'm alive to play that game. But so you're right, health is wealth. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you all in the chat for being here with us tonight. I did put my link into the chat if you all would go there if you have not done so to subscribe.
I don't advise it. Sorry.
I highly advise it.
I'm on now.
Iron Lord's fantastic. Everyone's probably subscribed to Iron Lords, but I put that above as well. And I also linked Holly's or That Blue Numbers Twitter there as well, guys.
Yeah.
He's kissing up. Don't so no, but seriously, you guys can find me, of course, on Xbox Factor with Boom, Daniel McG and C Money on Tuesdays at 12 o'clock Eastern, and on Thursdays my show The Fix at 8 o'clock Eastern, and with myself and Daniel McG and rotating crew of guests and such, and of course here on my second show that I started and invited Pete and Riskit to,
that didn't
Infinite. Xbox Infinite podcast. Yeah, guys, thank you all in the chat for being here. This was a good show.
Absolutely, man. Everyone in the chat, you guys have been absolutely amazing. I am going to kick you over to Mav's show as we do every week. That is another fantastic show, Xbox Ultimate. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks to the guests. Thanks to the panel. Thanks to the chat.
Later.